I was still finishing my banana, Eric.
I knew. Anyway.
Hey, hello, welcome everyone to another MSI. Just have to clear my mouth. Welcome to another MSI Insider live stream. I'm here today with Eric. He's not actually besides me, but it looks like he is. And today we're going to talk about my favorite topic, which is of course Mini-ITX.
I think last week I already told everybody that you're like a nerd, like a Mini-ITX nerd.
Yeah. No, I prefer to call it enthusiast.
Okay, same.
But it's basically the same. I'm a Mini-ITX nerd. I already see some questions. Mini-ITX for RTX 3090. I think Peter already commented a little bit about possible Mini-ITX, but not completely certain.
No, we said NDA last week, so we will see.
Perhaps,
we will
maybe.
See.
Maybe 3090 is a bit much though, but perhaps the other 30 series could, well, perhaps be possible. I'm not sure.
Don't know.
Today we also have a giveaway. We will give away several $20 Steam wallet codes. If you want to participate, go to msi.com/2/insider. I believe Eric also configured our new bot already. Not yet?
It's work in progress, so maybe today you will see me sometimes switching to my notebook to fix some things. If not, because we updated actually Jeroen did, he updated the landing page of MSI Insiders. We hope now that the giveaway is more visible for everybody. I know it still has some caching issues. So if that doesn't work correctly, let us know in the chat. I will manually post the link to the giveaway in at least a YouTube chat.
Yeah.
Maybe some other chats.
You should be able to access it through msi.com/2/insider. Otherwise, just follow the direct link in chat in at least YouTube and Twitch. I believe it is posted. I don't think it's on all channels that we're currently broadcasting to.
Work in progress.
Yeah. So
but we will not post it to Twitter because we got banned on Twitter.
They didn't like our giveaway.
Yeah.
So unfortunately.
Yeah, I broke the butt.
See, question, where's the banana? It's in my stomach. It was a good banana though.
Half of it.
People are already talking about B450i Max. We're definitely going to talk about that model today.
We have a lot of models here. So these are all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? All the models?
Yeah. There are 5 different models basically. One is the new version of another one. But there are slight differences. So I will show the new version and the old one. But there are some differences.
And we're not only going to talk about motherboards, because you're also going to build a Mini-ITX PC, right?
Yeah, so I contacted our friends from Cooler Master, because they got a very cool new Mini-ITX case, the NR200P. So they were kind enough to ship us a sample of that one. So today we're going to do an extreme gaming build in the Mini-ITX form factor. So we're going basically the maximum you can go. In Mini-ITX or even in a regular ATX if you would use a single graphics card. Unfortunately, I see a lot of people talking about the RTX 30 series. Unfortunately, we're not allowed to use that one yet because it still needs to be launched, so we cannot show it running yet. If you want to see a running 30 series card, definitely go check out our live stream next week, because then we're going to talk about the 3080 and we'll also benchmark it, a little bit more about that later. So today we're sticking to only the RTX 2080 Ti and we will combine it with the Intel Core i9 10900KF CPU. Noob's Death is asking, he's in Taiwan, right? No, I'm not in Taiwan, we're based in Europe. Our headquarters indeed are in Taiwan, but we are not. See some questions. If I can show the motherboards near the camera, we will go through all the different motherboards I have here right now. So I will show all of them in detail as well. Eric, shall we maybe show the overview of our future live streams?
Yeah, I was posting the giveaway because I saw some people talking about it. So
yeah, so go to msi.com/2/insider. If you cannot access the link directly, in both YouTube and Twitch, you will have a direct link. Yeah, a direct link to Gleam. So I already talked a little bit about the RTX 3080 launch next week.
Peter shaved, right? He's now without beard.
Yeah, I think he had more beard here at least.
Old picture.
Yeah, on the picture.
Like 20 kilos ago for me.
Or you're just hiding it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 3080 next week. Important to note that it's on a Thursday.
Yes.
Usually we stream on a Wednesday, but because the launch is on the 17th, next week we will stream on Thursday. Same time, right, Eric?
Yes. 4 o'clock CST.
Yeah. So I believe 7 a.m. PDT, I think.
Yeah.
So basically in the morning, if you're in America, in the afternoon if you're in Europe or Africa, and in the evening if you're in Asia, basically,
Yes.
and Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the week after that, also on a Thursday.
Important, we're going to do benchmarks. Because
Yes,
this is the
to do
date.
the actual launch of the card.
Yeah, the card is available on the shelf. We already have one. So and we will get more models in the coming week. So we're going to, I don't want to say tear it apart, but
you didn't steal it yet for your PC?
Disassemble it. We are going to benchmark it. Everything what you want to know, we're going to do with it. And the week after with 3090.
Yeah. So basically, next 2 weeks, 2 NVIDIA GPU launches with the benchmarks. So
Yes.
we'll show performance of them as well. And the week after, we're back on the Wednesday, the 30th of September, and then we're going to talk about our new MEG Aegis Ti5 gaming desktop.
Yeah,
And
I
I
see
believe-
somebody asking about 3070, that's somewhere in October, but
Yeah,
no date defined yet.
but the Aegis Ti5 will also be equipped with these new generation graphics cards, right?
Yes, indeed.
So also something to look forward to. So your question about Ryzen board. Yes, we have several Mini-ITX Ryzen boards right here. So we'll definitely talk about that as well.
I think you prepared some questions for everybody, right? Because, yeah, you like Mini-ITX, I'm like, the bigger the better.
So I've prepared some questions to see, well, basically how you use your computer at the moment. So let's kick it right off with our first question. How many graphics cards do you use? Please drop your question in the chat. And I'm talking about a gaming PC, not in your mining rig. So
One.
Personally, I'm also using one.
One.
No one is using two?
Well, I just
No
wait a little bit.
Crossfire or SLI people? One.
Barely one.
one. Three. Okay.
I think he has
I'm wondering if that's a genuine answer, or
I think he's either mining Ethereum or he is having a render farm at home.
yeah, that's why I said gaming rig, not mining rig.
Okay.
Benjing is saying one, where I had two before. Okay. So mostly one.
Yeah, 90%, like 95% is one. None can also be, yeah.
Yeah, can also be indeed. Okay. Next question. So basically almost everyone answered one. Next question. How many other expansion cards do you use? So here you should think about sound card and networking card. For example, an additional card to put in more M.2 drives. All other adding cards that you can basically think of.
For me it's zero, but I think a lot of people still have some adding cards, like older cards, maybe.
For me it's also zero.
Audio.
I see some. I see a lot of zeros. I see a Wi-Fi card. Yes, indeed, that as well.
Sound card.
Sound card. So this is excluding graphics card, by the way. I see some people answering their graphics card. This is other expansion cards. So other than your graphics card. A lot of zeros again. Someone who's using two of them.
86.
86. That's
We have
in
a
several
winner.
PCs, I suppose. Francisco is saying zero, but I had one wireless card for a time.
USB 3 of adding cards for USB if you have an older PC.
Yeah.
Thunderbolt is also a lot of.
Alex is saying
creators.
ITX, so zero. Okay, so mostly, so for graphics card, the most common answer was one. Here, the most common answer is zero, as it seems like.
The chat is binary code now.
Okay, let's continue to our next question. How many M.2 SSDs do you use? So only M.2 right now. If you still have any SATA ones, That will be a later question. For now, M.2 SSDs.
I have one.
I also use one. I see 0, 2, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1.
3. Ridley.
2 people with
Marcos.
3 M.2 SSDs. A lot of people with either 0 or 1.
So
I think
basically,
one seems to be the most common one.
yeah.
Okay. Next question. How many SATA devices do you use? So they can be SATA SSDs, they can be SATA hard drives, they can be the old-fashioned cup holder, like you see on top of the screen right now.
What's that thing on top of the screen?
That's the cup holder.
A what?
A cup holder.
A cup
If you
holder.
open it, you can put your coffee cup in it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't have that luxury in my
And
PC.
you connect them through SATA, so you can
okay.
open your cup holder.
Well, here we see a lot of different numbers.
Yeah, a lot of different numbers. I see a lot of 1, 2, 3, a few 4,
Yeah, 9.
9, that's quite extreme.
RAID 50.
Okay, here are a lot of different answers. So a lot of, mostly 1, 2, and 3. I don't know who's the winner here, but I think 2 mostly.
Yeah, the best cup holder. So, what's your point?
Okay, assessment time. These are all the questions. If your answers are not higher than 1 for the first question, 0 for the second question.
Sorry. So 1 was a VJ card,
1
right?
was the VGA card.
0?
0 is for the other expansion cards.
Okay.
2 is for the M.2 SSDs. And 4 is for the SATA devices.
Oh my god, I need to think. Yeah, okay, clear.
So you did pass it, right, in that sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think most.
So what motherboard size are you using?
Me.
Yeah.
ATX.
Why?
I mean.
I think this is the situation for many people. I think many people still use ATX, some micro-ATX. But from the looks of it, the vast majority of the people in chat use 1 graphics card, use 0 expansion cards, use 1 or 2 M.2 SSDs, and most maybe 2 or 3 SATA devices.
But you know what it is? It's always the idea that you want to expand in the future. Like, I want a second VJ card. Well,
And how often did it happen? And how often will it happen in the future? Like how many 30 series NVIDIA cards had SLI support?
Yeah, only one.
And that was the?
3090.
How much do you pay again for 2 3090s?
Okay, next question.
Conclusion here, I think by far most people could do with a Mini-ITX motherboard. So why go bigger? So let's talk a little bit about Mini-ITX, because why do you choose for Mini-ITX? First reason, small footprint. On your desk, I think many people with an ATX case, they shovel it under their desk because it takes up too much space. Is your PC on your desk or underneath your
Below
desk?
my desk.
Yeah, I think that's the case for many people who are using an ATX case, because it does take quite a lot of space. A Mini-ITX case can have a much smaller footprint. The motherboard is a lot smaller, the cases are usually a lot smaller. So you basically save space on your desk, and you can put your...
You have one there,
computer.
right? Can you already show it?
I have a case right here, I can already tease it.
Then everybody knows how small they are.
This is the NR200P that we will do a build-in later on, Cooler Master case. So as you can see, it's not very big. It's not very heavy either. Just for comparison, I have an extended ATX case here.
What you're now going to do is not a comparison, because I want to see them side by side.
Okay, let me see if I can put this one on the desk without destroying something. So this is an extended ATX case. I don't know if I have enough space for this.
Maybe turn a little bit. That.
I don't want to drop the motherboards.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is extended ATX, the Sekira 500X. Okay, this is quite an extreme example. It's quite big. And this is the Mini-ITX.
Reflections.
Yeah. So you can see our camera right there.
Yeah.
So that's quite a difference.
Yeah.
And you can even go a lot smaller with Mini-ITX. I already see some people commenting in chat, almost 20 liters. Indeed, this is an 18.25 liter case.
Do we have some drinks? So we can really see if it's that kind of liter size?
Yeah, I have a drink here.
No, I mean like 20 liters of drink.
No, I don't have that. But I do have a can for scale. So this is compared to a 250 milliliter can and an 18.25 liter Mini-ITX case.
I see some good comments. People worry about cooling.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that a little bit, and we'll also show it because we're going to build like the most extreme.
So you're going to prove this cools?
Yes, this is, if you're going 18 liters, you can go all the way up to 10900 KF, 2080 Ti, no problem. You can do that.
Okay.
Like no problem at all. If you're going smaller, then of course you need to keep in mind that
I see somebody
wants
a banana for scale.
I just ate that one. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, that's why you had it.
I don't have
right?
another banana for scale here. And you don't want me to recycle that banana, I think. Some people talk about the volume of different ITX cases. Personally, I'm using Dan A4 SFX Mini-ITX case. Some of you might know it. So that's around 7 liters, so that's even quite a bit smaller. But that does come with certain restrictions, especially on your CPU cooling. Like the maximum radiator size I can fit in there is 92 millimeters, where here you can even go up to 280 millimeters. So especially for your CPU cooling, it makes quite a difference. Also, if you go smaller, it will be a little bit more tricky with your graphics card as well. One of the other main reasons why people choose for Mini-ITX cases is it's portable. You can easily pick it up and take it somewhere else if you go to a friend or if you go to a gaming event like a LAN party or something. Actually, the PC I use myself, I have like a camera bag. It's originally a camera bag, and I can just put my case in there and easily carry it around. So yeah, Mini-ITX very easy to carry around. If you travel with your PC, then definitely interesting to take a look at Mini-ITX. And the most important reason, of course, why you choose Mini-ITX, it's super cute. Just look at these tiny little motherboards. Like how can you dislike Mini-ITX? And also the small cases.
You want me to put on the detailed cam?
No, you can put on the slideshow.
Okay.
There we go.
What's that kitten doing there?
They're so cute, your pet would be jealous. So that's a very sad, jealous cat, but it's fine. My cats also learned how to deal with my extremely cute computer. So your question, is there a DTX motherboard in the lineup? No.
No.
Only Mini-ITX. If you go bigger, then the first next step will be micro-atx. Roka is asking, can you still get ITX case with an ODD slot? Yes, they still exist. You can still get them. I believe, for example, the Cooler Master Elite 130 has one. I think that one's also around 20 liters, so slightly larger than the one we have right here. Just Andrew is asking, why do people buy Mini-ITX? Easy question, cheaper, much more better cable management, much better airflow temps for motherboard. Oh, that was Mini-ITX? Because those are not the reasons for Mini-ITX.
Yeah, Mini-ITX, a lot of people assume it's cheaper, but it's not the case, right?
No. Usually on Mini-ITX, you don't have as much space as you have on a regular ATX or micro-ATX motherboard. But you still want to fit the same components. You still need the power delivery circuit for your CPU. And that's usually why you will find extremely high quality VRM components on Mini-ITX motherboards, because you have very limited space. So you will have to deal, for example, instead of 12 phases, you, for example, have space for 6 phases only. So you need to make those phases very powerful. So that's why you usually see very strong, very efficient power stages on Mini-ITX motherboards. Also, the PCB is slightly more expensive than regular PCB, because you need more layers to basically put everything on there and still get your tracing working. So no, Mini-ITX is not cheaper than, for example, micro-ATX or ATX. Depends, of course, on the exact model. If you have a godlike motherboard, it will be, of course, a bit more expensive than the motherboards you see here. But for airflow, you can definitely go very well in ITX. Of course, dependent on the case you choose, because there are many different cases for many different purposes. So let's compare the motherboard sizes a little bit. Here you see the extended ATX, ATX, micro-ATX, and mini-ITX motherboards. I also have some of the real products right here. So this is, for example, our Z490, MEG Z490 Godlike. So this is an extended ATX motherboard. As you can see, the length is like a normal ATX motherboard, but it's a little bit wider. Let me grab an ATX as well. Here we have our MPG B550 gaming carbon Wi-Fi. This is a regular ATX board. This is an extended ATX board. So you see, they're exactly the same length, but if you put them on top of each other, you can see the extended ATX board is a bit wider.
And how much wider, that really depends on how many feature or how many PCB size we need. So it's not like it's always like 5 or 4 centimeters. Can be 1 centimeter, can be 5. Because
in this situation, it's like approximately 3 or 4 centimeters.
Yeah, because that is not defined. So if we need a lot of extra components, chips on the PCB, or just PCB space to make a clear signal for either memory or PCI Express Gen 4, then we take whatever needs.
Then we have micro-ATX, and micro-ATX is basically like mini-ITX. It's a square motherboard. It's the same width as a regular ATX motherboard, but it's quite a lot shorter.
Yes.
So instead of 7 expansion slots, you only have 4.
Also here, the width is not defined, because this indeed is a well, I would say MPG, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's an MPG, that's a mainstream model.
Yeah.
But if you look at the more entry-level models like H310,
you usually see them a little bit smaller.
Yeah, indeed.
So
especially, for example, 2-DIMM boards.
Yeah, they can be a little bit smaller as well.
Yeah.
But basically, if you get a micro-ATX case, a case that supports micro-ATX, then it usually supports all the different sizes of micro-ATX. So they should also support this size, but of course also the smaller ones.
Miguel Garcia, I see you're asking, fix the BIOS for X570 Tomahawk. Please let me know what the issue is, so then I can check.
And then of course we have Mini-ITX. So let me just grab one of them to compare them to the micro-ATX. So both of these are square, but as you can see, there's still quite a big difference in terms of size. So it's both a lot taller and also wider, the micro-ATX. So Mini-ITX, only 1 expansion slot, so that will always be the PCI Express slot. You also have 2 memory slots, that's also something to keep in mind.
So basically the I/O part is on the same location?
Yes.
And from that point everything is smaller?
Everything is smaller, so you don't get the number of expansion slots you will see on other motherboard sizes. Yeah. Also, you have only 2 DIMM. That's something you sometimes also see on micro-ATX, depending on the model, and sometimes even ATX. But if you use regular memory modules, you will never be able to fit more than 2 DIMM on a Mini-ITX motherboard. Fike is asking, is there any difference in extended one, like it's more VRAM or MOSFET? Well, the VRAM is on the graphics card, so you won't see a difference on the motherboard there. But for the VRM design, the MOSFET, it depends very much on the model. So the Godlike, I've just shown you, that one has an extreme VRM basically. But it also has, for example, the dynamic dashboard too. So it has a small OLED screen right here. And all those kind of features, they take up size. But as you can see, also the VRM department is relatively large when you compare it to other motherboard sizes. So it depends a bit on the motherboard what you get in that extra space. Usually, if you look at content creator products, so for example, our Creator X299 motherboard, or also our Creator TRX40 motherboard, they're usually also a bit bigger, and that has to do with the memory slots, for example. Because if you want to fit in an extreme VRM and 8 memory slots, then of course you need a little bit more space as well. You can also get those high-end desktop platform motherboards in regular ATX size, but usually then the VRM is a bit slimmed down. So it's all Dependent on the exact model you get, what you get with that extra space.
2 questions I want to pick out. I lost it already. Oh, Edwin is asking, is there a difference in chokes and overclock power of a micro-ATX board? Yes.
It depends very much on the model. Different models also use different components.
First of all, it depends on the CPU. You need to have overclockable CPU. Then it depends on the VRM. And then, of course, on the cooling of the VRM. Because you see a lot of, especially micro-ATX motherboards, where you have part of the VRM is cooled and the other part not. So a lot of people saying, hey, look, it has some heatsink on top of it, but if the whole VRM is not cooled, it will not help. And basically on one part of the CPU socket they do the CPU VRM, and the other part is iGPU, PCI Express, etc. But yeah, it always helps with overclocking, but most people overclock on ATX, I would say.
Depends a bit on what you do. For memory overclocking, ITX is extremely good because you have more PCB layers, you get a clearer memory signal because you only have 2 channels.
Then also Mini-ITX is interesting for memory overclocking.
For memory overclocking, Mini-ITX is basically the way to go, I would say. Yeah. Usually it will give you the best. If you go for CPU overclocking, most people will probably go for ATX. If you go for memory overclocking, ITX is
so another question about, are we going to do any ATX 12 power supplies? At this moment, it's not in planning. It really depends how this market will develop, and in the future you will probably also see some motherboards. I don't know which generation or what time frame, which are going to support this. And yeah, then you need to have the complete ecosystem there. So that's something for the future.
Coming back to the question about the, for example, the capacitors and the chokes on the VRM, if they're any different on ITX boards. Well, if you look at this motherboard, for example, there you can see that the capacitors are SMD capacitors, and that's because in this situation it improves the cooler compatibility a little bit because they're a lot lower. As you can see, they're not higher than the CPU socket itself. So if you have a CPU cooler that falls over it, then it's no problem. If you would use regular capacitors, they're quite a lot higher. So that could be a little bit tricky with certain CPU coolers. So it depends on the model, of course. This is on an AMD model. On Intel, usually you don't have the problems with CPU cooling compatibility as fast because the socket is also a little bit higher than AM4. I see a question, how much is the Mini-ITX? Later on we'll also talk about the prices of all different models we have right here. This depends very much on the chipset, on the feature set, etc. Joshua is asking, will MSI make ITX cases? Maybe. Maybe in the future. We don't have any right now, but we don't say that we will never do this. Let me see. Delvin is saying, so CPU on ATX and memory on Mini-ITX. But how about both on micro-ATX? When talking about, for example, memory overclocking, it's very much dependent on how close the memory slots are to the CPU. Because if it's closer, it gives you a better memory signal. For example, the AMD mainstream platform, but also the Intel mainstream platform, they have 2 memory channels. If you use a single DIMM per channel, this will also improve your signal quality. So that also helps. And if you have more PCB layers, you will get a clearer signal. And ITX basically ticks all those boxes. It uses more PCB layers than a regular motherboard. It has the memory slots very close to the CPU. And it also has only 2 memory slots, so a full channel per DIMM. So that's basically why Mini-ITX usually gives you the best overclocking performance on memory modules. For CPU overclocking, you usually want the beefiest VRM. That's, for example, something you will find on the Godlike motherboard. That one comes with a 16-phase VRM design. That's not something you can fit on a Mini-ITX motherboard. I see another question. Why didn't MSI put DisplayPort in the B550i micro? It's Mini-ITX, so not micro. It's micro-ATX, Mini-ITX. Basically because of space. You have to make certain choices when designing a Mini-ITX motherboard. So let me just grab the B551 because that's what you asked about. So this is the I/O of the B550 Mini-ITX. We decided to go for HDMI 2.1 because that makes it very suitable also for home theater PCs because they can even go up to 8K resolutions in the future. Of course, you need the right CPU for it. So right now you will need a Renoir CPU in order to use the display outputs. But the reason why we went for HDMI over DisplayPort is because of home theater PCs and televisions. Of course, you can put on a DisplayPort as well. Like for example, this motherboard, the B450i, has got both HDMI and DisplayPort. But here you can see there are only 3 audio headers. Here we decided to go with 5 regular audio headers and an SPDIF output, so digital optical output. So it depends a bit on the choices you make. We think that the majority of the market will use HDMI rather than DisplayPort. And usually the people who don't use it as a home theater PC, they will tend to use a graphics card, and they have DisplayPort on a graphics card usually. Edwin K is asking, how many M.2 slots does the motherboard have? Depends per model. So for example, the B450i model right here has got 1 M.2 slot on the back of the motherboard. If we have the B550i, for example, there's 1 on the front, there's 1 on the back. So it depends per model how many slots. But I would say most models nowadays have 2 M.2 slots. So that's 1 on the front and 1 on the rear. Dr. Vengeance is asking, why not HDMI 2? The B550 board actually has HDMI 2.1. Because we think that's a very suitable model for home theater PC use. And then we think it is definitely worth it to put on HDMI 2.1. But again, depends on the exact model, also depends on the price range. You will not see that, for example, on the B450 ITX model. That one is quite a lot cheaper as well. It comes with cost as well to put on HDMI 2.1. So yeah, it very much depends per model.
I'm testing our bot, so
Okay.
people see a lot of annoying comments.
Lodi is asking, if space is important, why waste on a PS2 that's really old? It's space that can be free. It's not only the space you see basically on the I/O of the motherboard, because there you can see if you would take certain stuff out, you would think there is more space, but it's also the footprint on the PCB itself. As you can see, it's extremely full with components here. That's because there are also controller chips right here. The PS2 port barely takes up any space on the PCB, and it's very easy to integrate with 2 USB ports on top or below them. So the PS2 port barely takes any space. If you would go for other stuff, like for example the Wi-Fi, if you would go for certain very fast USB connections, if you go for example DisplayPort, they come with a much bigger footprint. So it can be really tricky to fit that in. So in this situation also the audio has got quite a big footprint, but we thought it was important to put an optical audio output on there, also for those home theater PC users. And some people are also using them. There are even some gaming headsets that support optical audio. So we thought it was important to put the optical audio on there. See, Dan Watt is asking, PS2 is obsolete though, why have it? That's the one I just answered. I don't think it's obsolete either. Personally, I still use it, but I use an old-fashioned IBM Model M at home. I don't use it as a daily driver, but I prefer to be able to connect it. But also some gamers still prefer PS2, as there is a slight difference in how PS2 works compared to USB. PS2 actively communicates to your computer, while for USB, your computer basically asks a certain number of times every second. If you have 1000 Hertz, it will ask the device 1000 times per second whether or not it has input. Also, in some BIOS situations, PS2 can be very useful, so for debugging purposes. So yeah, I think there are still purposes to put PS2 on a motherboard. And as I said, it barely takes up any additional space on the PCB. Bilal is asking, what's Eric doing? Eric is experimenting with our chatbot a little bit, I think.
Yeah, not going well.
Trove is asking, does someone know if the RTX 3090 MSI GameX Trio will fit the H500i? I have no idea about that specific case. Toilet Pepper is asking, are there any X570 ITX boards now? No, not from us at this point. We purposely waited until B550 came out because the benefits you get from X570 are quite relatively limited on ITX motherboards, I would say.
Yeah.
When it makes a difference is, for example, if you use multiple M.2 slots on X570, you would be able to do Gen 4 on both. On B550, it's only one. Another benefit of X570 is you can have multiple graphics cards on Gen 4. On Mini-ITX, you cannot have multiple graphics cards in general, so that doesn't even matter there. On X570, you can have certain faster I/O, but usually you don't have the space to put them on an ITX. So the added benefit of an X series chipset is more limited on Mini-ITX than it is on larger motherboards. You cannot fully use the chipset basically. Also the X570 chipset gets quite a lot warmer than the B550 chipset, so you would need more cooling as well. So yeah, that's the reason why we went for B550 for our AMD Mini-ITX motherboard rather than X570. Shrey is saying, I bet Eric is ordering those boards for himself.
No, we had in the last few weeks, or maybe months, we had some problems with our Restream chatbot. It also was posting on Twitter, and that's why we got blocked on Periscope. So I'm now trying to fix another chatbot and testing. Yeah, we do that when we're live, otherwise it doesn't work, right?
Moses is asking, why didn't you produce a max variant of the B450i motherboard? It was the perfect B450i board. Actually, we do have that. This is the max version of the B450i. So here we have the regular B450i Gaming Plus, and this is the B450i Gaming Plus Max Wi-Fi motherboard. So the red one is the old one, this one, and the new one is the black and silver one. So there is a max version. I don't think it's available everywhere yet, but it should be soon. Joan's asking, how about Thunderbolt? Later on, we have that on a model, so later on we will talk about that specific model as well. Eric, can you maybe go to the slides and we can go a little bit deeper into the different models that we have right here. So these are the Intel LGA 1200 motherboard, so the very new Intel socket for the 10th gen Intel Core processors. And we have 4 different Mini-ITX models here or 3 different Mini-ITX models.
I was already counting.
With 3 different chipsets. So we have an H410 model, we have a B460 model, and we have a Z490 model. So let's kick it off with the H410i Pro, let me see, that's this one. The H410i Pro Wi-Fi.
Oh.
That's the wrong one. Where did you put it? Ah, there we go. So this is the most entry-level motherboard for the 10th gen Intel Core series processors.
Yeah, because we also have like H310.
Yeah, but that's only for older generations.
Yeah.
So yes, we definitely have 300 series Intel motherboards as well on Mini-ITX, but today we will stick to the 400 series on Intel and 400 and 500 on AMD. Also because the B450, for example, is still used for 3rd gen Ryzen processors. So let's take a look in a little bit more detail about this specific model. all these motherboards, they have a very powerful and fully digital VRM design. And as I said, it is very important on a Mini-ITX that you use very high quality components because you don't have a lot of space to put more components on there. So the components itself, they need to be very high quality. It also comes with extended heatsink cooling. So if we show it in a close-up, you can actually see that the cooling goes all the way over the I/O. This gives you a bigger surface area, so will also help the VRM cooling. It also has heatsink sinks on both sides, so the complete VRM is properly cooled. It comes with an Intel i219V gigabit LAN connector. So no 2.5 gigabit LAN on this one. That is available on the higher end models with the higher end.
Yeah, this is H410.
Yeah, it's H410.
So this is most of the times matched with Celeron, Pentium, Core i3.
Yeah, no, it depends a bit on what you want. The VRM is quite strong, so you could also put a higher end CPU on this. It will work fine, but H410 doesn't support overclocking, for example.
No.
So if you put a K-SKU on there, it will give you the regular performance that you know from the K-SKU, but you cannot overclock it any further. So that's something to keep in mind. If you want to overclock on Intel, go for the Z series chipset. Also,
so
B460 you cannot overclock.
The only argument to go for a higher chipset than this is overclocking, or you also have other arguments?
There are more arguments because it's also the feature set is a little bit different. For example, on the Z490 chipset, you have more lanes available, so you can put in features like Thunderbolt, stuff like that.
Okay.
So you can go a little bit further on your feature set. So there are some more differences than only this. So yeah, back to the H410 model. It comes with Wi-Fi 5 connectivity. The other models, the higher end models, will come with Wi-Fi 6, for example. So, but it does come with Wi-Fi, and that of course also has to do with the price. If the H410 ITX board would have Wi-Fi 6, would have 2.5 gigabit LAN, it would get very expensive, which is not really suitable for the H410 chipset. Further on, it comes with the Realtek ALC 1200 audio codec, and as I said, it also comes with the optical output. So maybe show it up close. So there you have the optical out as well. It's also very suitable for home theater PC.
This is one of the fights you were.
Yeah, well, it's a complaint we often got before because, for example, our older, especially the lower end models, they, for example, didn't have the optical output. And quite many people are using an optical output for either speakers or their headset even. Personally, I also use it. I use a speaker set.
That's why you were pushing our R&D team to have it, because you use it.
There are quite many people that use optical out. But I would say on Mini-ITX, it's more important than it is on ATX, because on ATX, if you don't have it, you just put in a sound card and you have it. But that's not something you can do on Mini-ITX. So you have to get it right. You have to get your motherboard right directly. So that's also why you have to choose very carefully what's the right motherboard for you. So that's why we decided to go with the SPDIF output. Sayeda is asking why Wi-Fi 5. I consider putting a dual band on that board used for. It actually does support 5 gigahertz, but it's not Wi-Fi 6. So it's not that it's single band. It is a dual band Wi-Fi controller, but it's Wi-Fi 6, so previously known as Wi-Fi AC, and not Wi-Fi 6, which is Wi-Fi AX. And that, of course, has to do with the price of the motherboard. H410 motherboards are a bit cheaper. Wi-Fi 6 on there would make it quite a lot more expensive. And if you really need that kind of connectivity, then you could, for example, look at the B460 ITX model. How do I reset BIOS on the B450i Gaming Plus AC without the 2-pin jumper cap? You can also do it by taking your BIOS battery out. Let me see if there are more.
Does MSI going to make a B550 Max between brackets with 2 PCI? I think 2 PCI Gen 4.
Sorry, what was the question? Can you repeat?
From John. Does MSI gonna make a B550 Max with 2 PCI Express 4? Well,
Mini-ITX and 2 PCI Express is
Never
already
going
an
to happen.
impossible combination,
Yeah.
so no. Mini-ITX motherboards will always have a single PCI Express slot. Or none at all, but yeah, you can fit on maximum one.
When will MSI produce circle motherboards?
No
Never.
plans yet.
Yeah. Well, I had a crazy idea in the past to make a mainboard in the shape of a skull, but it's so difficult because all the traces need to be at the right length. Everything needs to be in place, so it's almost impossible.
Delvin is asking, is Wi-Fi 6 good for gaming?
Yeah.
Yes, I would say, especially compared to previous generations, Wi-Fi 6 is pretty good.
Yeah.
It comes, in my opinion, close to like a cable experience. Of course, depends on how far you are from your router. But
yeah, at this moment you still also need a Wi-Fi 6 router, and they still have a quite high price, coming down, and there are also more models available.
Yeah, once it is more mainstream, the routers will also get quite a lot cheaper.
Yeah, I think also with the next generation mobile phones, some of the high-end now already support Wi-Fi 6, and this will drop down to the mainstream models, and yeah, just a matter of time.
Calypto is saying, do you guys plan on making 2 DIMM ATX boards? All I'm going to say is stay tuned. Raak is asking, what are the motherboards in front of you? We'll talk about all of them in detail. Okay, let's continue with the MPG B460i Gaming Edge Wi-Fi. Eric, can you pull up the slide?
Yes.
You're sleeping all the time.
No, yeah, I'm
So if the H410 ITX model has certain limitations, for example, if you do want the Wi-Fi 6 connectivity, or if you want more expandability, then you can, for example, go for the B460i Gaming Edge Wi-Fi. This is a little bit higher tier motherboard than the H410 model. So this, for example, comes with 2.5 gigabit LAN. This one comes with Wi-Fi 6 as well as Bluetooth 5.1. It comes again with a very powerful VRM design, with very large heatsink as well, extended heatsink design all the way over the I/O. Another interesting feature is the integrated I/O shield. Let me show it up close. If Eric isn't asleep. So here you can see that the I/O shield is already integrated on the motherboard. Here you can also see where the BIOS battery is hidden, because you have limited space on the motherboard, so you will have to find a different spot for it. So it's right there. For example, the H410 motherboard that I just showed you comes with a separate I/O shield. Here it is already included. So those are all differences you will find in between the different models. Further on, it also comes with a front USB Type-C header, and that one's getting more and more interesting, because more and more Mini-ITX cases are having this header, also bigger cases. But front Type-C headers, we think they're extremely important moving forward, because we expect that most cases in the future will have this Type-C connector on the front I/O of the case. It also comes with both the JRainbow and the JRGB header. JRainbow header is for addressable RGB, the JRGB header is for regular RGB. So addressable RGB can display multiple colors at the same time. So you can, for example, do a rainbow effect, stuff like that. Regular RGB header will only give you a single color at that specific time.
People see my results of the chat button.
Yeah, does it work?
No, it's a bit confusing. I think it works on YouTube now, but on Twitch still working on it.
Torika's asking about the 3000 series MSI GPU. MSI 1080 Ti was no short circuit protection. What about 3000? I believe that was done on the 1080 Ti for overclocking, better overclocking support. But I'm not entirely sure what is done on the 3000 series. You might want to ask Peter next week or the week after. I'm not entirely sure how that is on the 3000 series gaming card. But I think it had to do with overclocking on the 1080 Ti, if I'm correct. But double check it with Peter. He knows all about graphics cards. Mr. Watery Watermelons is saying Eric got it working. Nice, nice.
Okay.
Okay, let's continue with our next Intel motherboard, which is the Z490 Unifi, and that's the highest end model for the 10th gen Intel Core processors on Mini-ITX. So this one comes with an extremely strong VRM design. It has a direct 8-phase for the CPU, so the V-Core VRM, with 90 amp smart power stages. So that's basically how far you can go with your VRM design on a Mini-ITX motherboard. This can easily drive even the 10900K, 10900KF while overclocked. It also comes with the Frozr heatsink design with zero Frozr technology, and the fan here is actually hidden behind the I/O. That's why you'll also have the ventilation here. And the zero Frozr technology means that the fan will not spin if it doesn't need to. It will only start spinning if it actually needs to. So in most situations, it will just still be completely passive. You can also tune it yourself in the BIOS. I see a comment in chat. Nice shirt, Mike. Thank you. I already put this shirt on purpose. I don't know if you can read it properly. Can you show it in the close-up?
In the close-up.
So this is because I'm going to build a PC later on. So I thought I would already me myself in case it doesn't work. So yeah, it comes with the Frozr heatsink design on the VRM cooling. It also offers Thunderbolt 3 connectivity. And this is a unique feature, especially on Mini-ITX. We only have one more Z490 board in our lineup that actually has Thunderbolt, which is the Godlike. So really interesting feature to have this on Mini-ITX. If you want to work with extremely fast Thunderbolt devices, then you're good to go. And that one is actually in the USB Type-C port. So Thunderbolt 3 just works over Type-C. So if you're wondering where it is, now you know it. Also comes with 2x Turbo M.2, one like the H410 and the B460, one on the front of the motherboard and one on the rear side of the motherboard. So if you go in the close-up, right here you have...
Yeah, rear side you always need to think about, because when you build the mainboard in your case, it's very difficult to get it out again.
Yes, depends a bit on the case.
Of course,
some
yes.
cases you can access it from the rear as well. Yeah. But usually from the front it's more easy accessible. Also, if you're going to use only one SSD, definitely go for the front, because there you also have the M.2 Shield Frozr cooling. And also if you use two different SSDs, one tends to get a little bit harder than the other, depends very much on the SSD you use, then use the one with cooling for the one that tends to get harder. Also comes with 2.5 gigabit LAN, Intel Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.1 connectivity. It has a Realtek ALC 1220 audio codec, again with the SPDIF output. It has both HDMI and DisplayPort. And this one actually comes with two J-Rainbow headers for addressable RGB, and also a front USB Type-C header.
I think you and me, we went to Taiwan in December, was it? November, December?
December.
Yeah, and then we still gave a lot of input on this model, right?
Yes, we made quite many changes on this model.
Yeah.
But I think it turned out to be a really interesting model. For example, also because of the extremely strong VRM design, the Thunderbolt 3 support. This is basically how far you can go on ITX.
We even changed the name.
Yep.
Because this one was first, they planned the Creator model, but we were like, okay, Creator, but then you want more memory and you want more VJ cards. So, and it looked quite nice, the design they had. Yeah.
And also Unifi is our more neutral looking board in general, yeah. So which would also suit content creators in case they want to use it. And of course, Thunderbolt 3 is also interesting for content creators, yeah. Especially.
So this one has a lot of input from you.
Yeah. We've been talking quite long about this. But I think I really like the end result. I also love the looks of it. And the feature set is, I would say, very extreme for Mini-ITX.
Yeah, especially Thunderbolt.
Yeah, and this is the one we will use in our build today. So okay. We will put a Core i9 10900KF on there. So that's the top 10 core model, 20 threads, extremely high clock. We're going to use the KF model without integrated graphics, because we will use a dedicated graphics card. And we will use the RTX 2080 Ti graphics card in there.
Torben BK has a good question. How cool can you make a Mini-ITX in temperature?
That depends very much on the case you use. Today we will use an 18-liter case. So it's not a very large Mini-ITX case, but it's not an extremely small one either. But in terms of cooling, well, you will see it later on in the stream. It's perfect even for a 10900K and a 2080 Ti. If you go smaller, for example, personally I use a 7-liter Mini-ITX case, so that's really small. So I'm limited on my CPU cooling capacity, especially because I have to use quite a low profile cooler. I wouldn't be able to for example, run a 10900K at full performance. I Need Waffles Now is asking, where is MSI based? Our headquarters are based in Taiwan.
Yeah, if you look at our YouTube channel, in December when we were in Taiwan, we also posted some videos from what we do in Taiwan and what kind of tests they have in HU. Was about GPU development. They were already working on the 3080, 3090, but at that moment we couldn't talk about it.
Yeah, make sure to check it out.
Yeah.
Then we also have Mini-ITX motherboards for AMD, of course, AM4 socket. And we have 2 different chipsets available, B450 and B550. As I said earlier, we think the benefit of X-series chipset is especially limited on Mini-ITX. That's why we went with the B-series. And another big difference between the B-series on AMD and the B-series on Intel is that AMD supports overclocking on the B-series chipset. And especially with the VRM design like on this motherboard, you can overclock even a Ryzen 9 on this.
Very good, Michiel. This afternoon I had Martijn on the phone and he said, I will watch, so make sure you mention this.
Just did.
Yeah.
So even if you want to run like a 3950X and overclock it, you can do it on the B550i model, no problem at all. Also the B450i model also has a strong VRM design. And as I said before, this is the new max version of that motherboard. So we have the older version, the non-max model, had red accents. The new version has silver accents. But the main difference between these motherboards is that this one comes with a bigger BIOS, so it has a 32 megabyte.
The white one, or the red one?
The black and silver one.
That's the new one.
That's the new one. This is the
maybe
max model.
keep that one on the right side.
Okay, let me just put this aside. This model has a 32 megabyte BIOS, so it will have out-of-the-box support for the 3rd gen AMD Ryzen processors.
So it's called Max.
It's called Max, yeah.
Max. Yeah.
The older model, you can also run a 3rd gen AMD Ryzen processor on here, but then you will need the toned down BIOS basically. So that one is called...
Not without graphical interface.
Yeah, so it's called Click BIOS Lite, so you don't have all the fancy graphical interface.
Some people like it more than our skinned BIOS.
Yeah, indeed. So it works in terms of functionality. There's barely any difference, but it will look a little bit more simple. But you can run a 3rd gen AMD Ryzen processor on this as well. But for the new model, out-of-the-box support, full BIOS interface, and also because RGB is quite common nowadays, we went with a more neutral outlook. So that's why we got rid of the red and we made it black and silver instead. So it matches with most modern hardware. Joan 2 is asking, does B550 support PCI Express Gen 4 and Gen 4 NVMe? Yes. Yeah. We will talk about the B550 model in a moment. Let's first talk a bit more about the B450i Gaming Plus Max Wi-Fi. So this one also comes with a very strong VRM design. It has a 6-phase VRM for the CPU with 60 amp power stages. So also Ryzen 9, you can even put it on the B450i model without any problem. If you really want to overclock it to the extreme, then you want to probably look at the B550i model, which has an even stronger VRM than this. But this is already a very strong VRM design. It comes with 1 gigabit LAN, Intel Wi-Fi 5 and Bluetooth 4.2. Both HDMI and DisplayPort outputs and 2 JRGB headers. I see some questions about the price. Later on I will show you an overview with all the prices for all different models in both US dollar and euros. So there you can see what every model costs.
What is American Megatrends? That's a BIOS vendor which makes BIOS codes. BIOS code.
Exactly.
AMI.
Shrey is asking, is there a board with the latest Wi-Fi generation? Good that you ask, because if we go to the MPG B550i gaming...
What a timing.
Yeah, what a timing. If you go to the MPG B550i Gaming Edge Wi-Fi motherboard, so that's our latest Mini-ITX AM4 model. I have it right here. So this one comes with an even stronger VRM design. So this is a direct 8-phase VRM design for the CPU. So 8 dedicated phases for the CPU with 60 amp output maximum. So extremely strong VRM design. No problem to put even a 3950X Ryzen 9 on here and overclock it.
Yeah, I know a lot of people hate this fan on this, right?
Yes, but I actually think that the fan on here is extremely interesting. If you don't like it, you don't have to use it. It's as easy as that. But this is a Gen 4 M.2 slot. And Gen 4 M.2 SSDs, they tend to get quite a bit warmer than regular M.2 SSDs, like the Gen 3 ones. And you don't want your SSD to throttle. And this fan, it will only start spinning if it actually needs to. So to avoid your SSD from throttling, there is a fan on here. But if you don't want to use it, you don't have to. So you can control it in the BIOS as well.
Ravi is asking, is MSI RTX 3080 going to support NVLink? No.
No, that's quite easy.
Next week we have a detailed live stream about RTX 3080, about our gaming and...
Sorry?
What, sorry?
What did you say?
Oh, next week we have a live stream about 3080.
Ah, yeah.
About Ventus and our gaming model.
Yeah, so if you want more details about that, definitely check it out. And it's on Thursday, very important. Usually we stream on Wednesday. That one will be on Thursday because the NVIDIA launch will be on Thursday, the 17th of September.
Yes. What about Evoke design language? Well, that's an interesting question from Side Effects. Will you repeat it on other components and a new GPU line? Well, first of all, I cannot comment on new GPU lines and what we're going to do, unannounced products. But what I can tell you is a little bit behind the scenes how these things are designed. And we have different design departments, like we have a mainboard department, or should I say motherboard department. We have a VJ department, and they're separated. So they have their own design teams, and we always try to match designs internally. The big problem with that is the time when product launch. For example, GPUs, they have maybe a 1 year launch schedule, which means now there is a new RTX 30 GPU. Probably, don't know, no promise. Probably in 1 year there will be a refresh, and 1 year later there will be new architecture. So maybe 30, 40, 50, don't know, no promise again. But mainboards, they have a different launch schedule. When Intel, AMD, they release their new models. So it's very difficult to match design of products internally. And it's even more difficult to do that with different BUs, business units, like notebooks, monitor, etc. It's something, of course, what we always aim for, what we always try to do, and we have examples where you see design details in products coming back in other products, but it's not easy.
I see another very interesting question on Twitch. Would these be an upgrade from the X570 series motherboards? That is very much dependent on what is important for you on a motherboard, because B550 is a more recent chipset than X570, and you can see that in multiple things. For example, the front USB Type-C header is present on all MSI B550 motherboards, but not on X570 yet. So because they're more recent models, there are some new features that were introduced on our B550 series. Also, for example, 2.5 gigabit LAN is something you will find on many of our B450 or B550 motherboards, where on X570 it's usually not present. So it depends very much what you want to have in a motherboard. For certain features, B550 can be an upgrade, yes. When are you going to build it? Shouldn't take too long.
Well, when you start to build it, that will not take long, but
yeah,
when it's finished?
Yeah, Mini-ITX, it's more complicated to build than regular ATX. It's because you have very limited space, and especially if you've never done this before, And even if you have done it before, you will always struggle with certain things.
And building something on a live stream always gives us some headaches, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Always some challenges,
So-
it doesn't work or it doesn't fit.
You will definitely see me fail in something today. Don't worry.
And I will make screenshots.
Yeah. No, but yeah, Mini-ITX, the smaller you go, the harder it usually is to build. And also, if you're going to cram in very high-end hardware like we're doing today, for example, we're going to use a 240mm all-in-one water cooling in a very small case. That restricts the working space you have, basically. Idle On is saying big appreciation for the J-Rainbow header on the B550. Is that the 3-pin one? Yes, that's the 3-pin one. The 5-volt 3-pin addressable RGB connector.
Oh yeah, giveaway! I'm testing.
You didn't give away any codes yet.
I'm testing. How are we going to do this?
No one is here for the content. Everyone is here for the game codes, and you didn't give any away yet.
I'm sorry. Let's just do 2.
Yeah. To make up for it.
That was last week as well.
Okay, let's see. If you didn't participate yet, go to msi.com/2/insider. I think, does our bot already spam the direct link to Gleam in the YouTube and Twitch chat?
It seems to work in YouTube, so I should sit here. It seems to work in YouTube. It's spamming the link, and if you type an exclamation mark giveaway without any dash, it will give you back the content, so that works. In Twitch, I'm still testing because on Twitch, because not sure.
Okay, Eric, you can announce the first winner because that one is more difficult to pronounce. I will do the second one.
Well, the first winner is Shootgoom.
Congratulations,
Yeah,
you won
it's
our
good.
first $20
Shootgoom.
Steam wallet code. And the second winner is Rom. Congratulations, you also win a $20 Steam wallet code. If you haven't participated yet, make sure to do so. We will give away more codes throughout the stream.
Yeah, winners, we will contact you via email in the coming days.
Yep. So keep an eye on your mailbox if you want.
Build time?
Sorry?
Are we going to build something?
Almost. We're getting close. Because I saw a lot of questions about the price. So let's first take a look at that. So depending if you use US dollar or euro, important to note here, the US dollar price is excluding VAT. The euro price is including VAT, but that's based on 20% VAT. Might differ in your region a bit. Also, the eventual price of the US dollar price will also depend on where you are, of course. Based on the reseller, based on the VAT. So this is just the recommended price from MSI. So for the H410 Pro Wi-Fi model, it's $109 US.
Yeah, I think everybody can read.
Yeah, it should be quite clear. As you can see, the B450i and B550i, there is quite a big price gap. A lot of people are asking, why is it so much more expensive? Is the B550 chipset so much more expensive? Yes, of course, the B550 chipset is a bit more expensive, but we changed a lot more on that board. So in terms
can
of
we maybe
feature
go
set,
back, compare them?
yeah, if we compare them side by side, like this is it's a good motherboard, but it's a way more basic model basically than the new B550i. So it went from 6-phase 60 amp to 8-phase 60 amp power design, from 1 gigabit LAN to 2.5 gigabit LAN, from Wi-Fi 5 and Bluetooth 4.1 or 4.2 to Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.1. The HDMI is HDMI 2.1 on the B550 ITX model. It also comes with a J-Rainbow header. It comes with the front USB Type-C. So there are a lot of changes in between these two generations. So yeah, it is. I'm really happy with the end result. I think it's a great motherboard. I might be biased. Let me know what you think.
Okay.
Madden is asking, any DTX boards coming?
No.
Not planned at this point.
No.
Are B450i still available? Yes, the new Max model. So the updated model, the black and silver one, should be available soon with out-of-the-box support for 3rd gen Ryzen processors.
Yeah, B450 still has a place on the market next to B550 for sure.
And it is, I think it is a very nice motherboard. Dependent on what feature set you need, you have to decide for yourself whether to go for B450 or B550.
Yeah.
Okay, let's back to the pricing. Yeah, so for Intel, you have 3 different chipset, 3 different price ranges. If you want to overclock, the Z series is the way to go here. For AMD, you can overclock on both models. So that's quite important to note. Other than that, differences in feature set, of course. Z490i comes with Thunderbolt, stuff like that. V450i comes with Wi-Fi 6 and H410 doesn't, for example. And I'm going to say it again, if you're going for Mini-ITX, make sure to pick the right model because you cannot add in anything later. If you're not happy with, for example, not having an optical output, you cannot add in a sound card. If you're not happy with 1 gigabit LAN, you cannot add in a network card. So make the right decision directly. Another thing I want to touch on shortly, because this is quite an important choice if you're building a Mini-ITX rig as well. For regular ATX and micro-ATX cases, this is not really a topic because basically all of them use an ATX power supply. But for Mini-ITX, depending on how small you want to go, you will need a different power supply.
Different format, right?
Yeah, it's a different size of power supply,
yeah.
So a different form factor. Some of the larger Mini-ITX cases can actually fit an ATX power supply. So if you really want to take your power supply from your previous system to your current system, then make sure that your new Mini-ITX case can support a full ATX power supply. If you want to go a little bit smaller, then you have the SFX power supplies. You have them in 2 versions. So SFX-L is the larger version and SFX is the smaller version. The width is the same, but the SFX-L is a little bit longer. This is also why, for example, the SFX-L power supply can fit, for example, a 120mm fan, where on SFX you're limited, I think, to a maximum of 92mm fans probably. On ATX you even have them 140mm, like the model you see here. And then if you go even smaller, so I would say like most cases that are like below 5 liters, then usually you would have to go for Flex ATX because then SFX would also be too large. So for example, a Velka 3 case is one of the smallest cases you can get that supports a dedicated graphics card. But that one is so limited on space, it's under 4 liters, then you will need a Flex ATX power supply. If you have, for example, popular cases like the DEN A4 SFX or the N-Case M1 or also the Cooler Master NR200P that we're using today, then you will go for either SFX-L or SFX, and the larger ones, usually they're over 20 liters, then you can sometimes fit an ATX power supply in there.
I see some questions on Twitch about Z490, memory OC. I'm going to feedback to our R&D people.
I see some people talking about how strong a power supply should be, also with regards to the new generation NVIDIA RTX 30 cards. Important to note here is that even SFX power supplies, like the regular SFX power supplies, not even the SFX-L, they can be extremely strong nowadays. Like the example you see here, the Cooler Master SFX power supply, this one goes up to 850 watts. So it's no problem at all, even for the latest generation NVIDIA graphics cards, to use an SFX power supply. So don't underestimate how strong SFX power supplies can be these days. Flex ATX doesn't go as far as SFX. I don't believe there are any 850 watt regular Flex ATX power supplies right now. So probably you would have to stick like 500, 600 watts would be where you usually top out. There are even smaller power supplies than the 4 you see here. It's called the Pico PSU, but they cheat a little bit because it has an external power brick, so you only have very limited components inside your case, but you will have a power brick outside of your case. So yeah, it's.
But that's like a notebook, right?
It's a bit comparable to a notebook. So, but it's kind of cheating if you're building small form factor PC, because then you will still take up some extra space for the external power brick. But you can go even smaller. So if you have an extremely small case where even a Flex ATX doesn't fit, My home theater PC at home, for example, uses a Pico PSU. Slobodan is saying Cooler Master SFX 850 watts. Yes, they go all the way up to 850 watts. Yeah, so let's continue. Let's talk a little bit about the case that we're... yeah, you can go to the full cam, so I can show the real case here.
I knew that.
So now let's start the building process, and we're going to use the Cooler Master NR200P that I have right here.
Just announced, right? Or let's say...
Yeah, like I think some...
2 months?
Like, yeah, 1 or 2 months ago.
Yeah.
It's, I think 2 months. So it's a very new model from Cooler Master. This is a little bit over 18 liters. It fits an SFX or an SFXL power supply, so no ATX support for this case. But as I said, even with SFX you can already go 850 watts, no problem. It is 18 liters is, I would say, like a medium-sized Mini-ITX case. So you have like large ATX cases are usually over 20 liters, medium-sized I would say like 10 to 20 liters, and then the very small ITX cases are sometimes even under 10 liters. But because it's medium-sized, you can fit very high-end hardware in this. So it can support graphics cards up to 330 millimeters in length, but they can also be very thick. And this is also something we can see on the new generation NVIDIA cards. They consume quite some power. The TDPs are quite high. So the cooler also has to be quite thick. So they can support up to 3 slots for your GPU. It also supports radiators. Today we're going to use a 240 millimeter one, the MAG Core Liquid 240R. If you want, you can even use a 280 millimeters in this one. And depending on the model you get, you can use it with a mesh side panel or a tempered glass side panel. I have both here today, so I will also show you both. But in the configuration I'm going to build it, I would recommend the mesh one because it will give you a bit better airflow, and also because I'm going to use the radiator on the side as an intake. I don't want to choke it with the tempered glass side panel. So I'll be going for the mesh version, but I will show you what it looks like with the tempered glass side panel. I see a question in chat, GPU vertical or horizontal mount? You can actually do both on, with this case. Let me show you something that came included in the box. So the Cooler Master case comes with this riser cable. Eric, can we show it up close?
I'm just helping people.
You're sleeping.
No, I'm trying to help people on Twitch.
Ah, okay. So this is a riser cable that comes with the NR200P case. With this riser cable you can use it vertically, but because today we're going to use it with the 240 millimeter radiator, that one will take up the space where you would put your graphics card vertically. So we're going to use it horizontally today, basically to increase the CPU cooling capacity. So this is, by the way, a PCI Express Gen 3 riser cable. And dependent on what you're going to build, that might or may not be an issue. Oh, many comments in chat. Let me see. I see a question about the Vantex Evolve Shift. Didn't Martijn use that in a previous live stream, long time ago?
Yes. I think we still have it here. Nice case.
Yeah, it's like the more vertical one.
More tower-like. But it was also difficult to, well, you know, me and Martijn, we tried to assemble it. I think Martijn did it on live stream. But anyway, for me it was very difficult. And probably I would have the same problems with this. You know, big hands, small PC, not compatible with Erik.
Yeah, it is something you have to get used to building a Mini-ITX. And it is more of a struggle. You will also see me struggle, and my case is even smaller than what we're building today. So it is, especially if you're going to fit in high-end hardware like 240 millimeter radiator, it's a struggle to fit it in,
well,
but
like
it does
to see
that. Let me make a little bit of space here to get the building process.
This doesn't look. This doesn't look
maybe
good.
Don't do that that scene for this.
Now, let me make a screenshot. You in front of me.
How will you call the screenshot? Mike asking for a raise.
Let
me just put all the ITX boards that we're not going to use for the build
so Erik,
to the side.
it's fake. You're not really there. Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, it's totally fake. Because of the corona measures, we have to keep distance.
Maybe I can... No, you're on the different cam. I cannot fix this.
So that's why Erik is actually around the corner. So I'm going to keep this motherboard here because that's the one we're going to use. The MEG Z490 Unifi motherboard. Sorry?
Now I'm in front.
Now you're in front? Yeah. Let me grab the case and show it up close a little bit. So here you see the front of the case. Right now I'm using the one with 2 mesh side panels. They very easily click off to the side. Let's see if I can grab it. So here you can just pull it off and take the side panel off quite easily. So I'm going to remove both of them and put them to the side. Later on I will also show you the tempered glass version of the side panel. That's only on one side, this side of the case. I did cheat a little bit because I already put the power supply in there because we're a bit limited on time.
It's like when we're gaming, you do the same.
Yeah, indeed. Always install my aimbot. No, because we're limited in time, I already put the power supply in there. We're using the Corsair SF600.
Because this is the most difficult part?
It just consumes time also to put in the cables and route the cables. Also I cheated a little bit with the radiator. I already installed it on the bracket. I could do everything on stream, but then I wouldn't be able to demonstrate the system afterwards because there would be no time. So that's why I cheated a little bit. We're also going to take the top panel off so we can reach everything easily. So it just pops off. And here you see there are 2 120mm fans that today we'll use as an outtake. So we will get the airflow through the radiator in there and through the top out there. Let me put this to the side as well. So power supply is already installed in here. Usually you will see a bracket right here. So you can take it out if you want, if you don't want to have it in there. You can use it to install hard drives or SSDs. But today I will show you directly. We're going to use it for the radiator. So here you see the bracket that comes with the case with the MAG Core Liquid 240R water cooling installed on there. So let me put it to the side again. So this is where the Mini-ITX motherboard will go. This is where the graphics card will go. If you want, you can also use it with the graphics card mounted vertically with the included riser cable, but because we need the space for the radiator today, we will just put it in the regular way horizontally.
So radiator will be on the right side? The
radiator will be on a bracket here.
Okay.
So first we will build the PC, and one of the last things we will do is put the radiator on top. Now I'm going to put this to the side a little bit because we have to prepare our motherboard first. So put the CPU on there, put the memory on there, put the SSD on there.
Hey, I can do this. This is the easy part.
Yeah, this is the easy part. So we have our Intel Core i9 10900KF. I'm not sure if you can read it. So 10 core processor.
No engineering sample this time?
No, no engineering sample this time.
Where did you get this one?
I actually stole this from Ja. Don't tell him, don't tell him. I wanted to have a Core i9 and he had a full desktop system with a Core i9 in there. So I just took it from his system and I put a Core i5 10400 back in there. It's a pretty good deal, huh?
He's watching.
So I took his 10 core and I gave him a 6 core back. I hope he's not watching right now.
You still owe him a 4 core.
Sorry?
If you give him another 4 core, then he has also 10.
Yeah. So CPU in, cap off. There we go. So very easy task. I think most people will be familiar with this. Hussein Hani is saying, stop lying, it's yours, you bought it. That's what I'd like to believe.
I see somebody asking about RTX 30. Yes, next week on Thursday, so not on Wednesday, not on a regular time. On Thursday, the 17th, we're going to do a live stream about RTX 3090. Oh, sorry, that would be breaking NDA. 3080. And the week after, also on Thursday, we're going to do a live stream about RTX 3090.
I see a question, what case is that? Putting a Unifi motherboard in there. The case is the Cooler Master NR200P.
Well,
and indeed, we're going to use the Z490 Unifi. See another question, why Intel? Today we're going to build like the most extreme Mini-ITX gaming build we can do. Of course, if you want to do more in production and you need, for example, more cores, then you could definitely go with a B550i and a 16-core AMD Ryzen 9, for example. Today we're focusing on a gaming rig, and then the 10900K, or KF in this situation, is basically the fastest you can get for gaming, so that's the main reason. But of course, if you prefer AMD, or if you, for your purposes, need more than 10 cores, then you can definitely go for the B550i with an AMD Ryzen 9 on there. Or lower if you want to. It's whatever you prefer. Today we're going with the Z490. I see another question. NDA on the 17th. That's for the RTX 3080. So the details are already out there. They already announced the 3080, but then we can also show you performance. Shrey is asking, will you check the performance in various games? We don't have time for various games, but we will show you some Metro Exodus with a lot of ray tracing. So yeah, we will show you performance later on, and also temperatures and stuff like that. So then you can also see that you can perfectly cool even a 10-core processor and an RTX 2080 Ti in a Mini-ITX case. So just installing the SSD. I'm only using one SSD today. It's a Western Digital Black M.2 SSD. If you're going to use only one SSD, I would definitely recommend to install it on the front of the case. It's more easy accessible, but also it has additional cooling on there.
Yes, our live streams next week on Thursday is going to show 3080 performance. And pricing we will also have. We should have.
Maybe I should also properly screw it in before. There we go.
Is Lightning, a lot of questions about RTX 30. Is Lightning going to be continued? We don't know yet.
Maybe.
That's a no, that's a yes. I mean, normally Lightning takes another 2 to 3 months for development because of course, first we need the standard cards out, and then we need to start fine-tuning the PCB. And this is a lot of testing, measuring, overclocking, failing, learning, and in the end we will have a Lightning PCB with cooling, etc.
By the way, if you're going for example, the AMD B550i model, then you will also have Gen 4 support. So in that situation, you can, for example, go for an M.2 SSD like this one. This is the Seagate FireCuda 520. This one can support PCI Express Gen 4. On my platform, I'm limited to PCI Express Gen 3, so I'm using the Western Digital Black SSD. Okay, so we got the SSD on there, we got the CPU on there. Let's also install the bracket for the water cooling that we will use today. Always properly try to prepare your motherboard, because especially in ITX you cannot access it anymore later on. So you don't want to install your SSD, for example, while your motherboard is already in the case.
You were there when I was doing this blind, right? Blindfold.
You were not doing an ITX, right?
No, but
that's a good challenge for next time. Do you want to see Eric build an ITX system blindfolded?
No. No. I never did an ITX build. Well, you know, one time with that Ventex case. No, I think I couldn't get it working.
I am bankrupt asking, why is MSI using a Cooler Master case?
Why not?
Why not? Yeah, it's a nice case.
Well, of course, also a reason we don't have a Mini-ITX case.
Secondary reason. It's a nice case.
Yeah. This is actually how it started, right? I'm sure your dream is always when you start work for MSI to do a live stream about Mini-ITX. But actually we saw
I already did one in the past.
Yeah.
But that's quite a long time ago. I think like 2 years ago or something.
We saw the announcement of Cooler Master of this new case, and then we said, hey, looks nice. Let's do a live stream about Mini-ITX. Of course, also because we have more and more models.
Yeah.
Recently released.
So I sent Cooler Master an email, and they were kind enough to send us.
But talking about cases, because I already told you the expert or the nerd or whatever you want to call it.
Enthusiast.
Yeah, enthusiast. There are a lot of I don't want to say AliExpress cases, but there are a lot of cases most people don't know, right? Brands.
Yeah, for Mini-ITX there are.
You're going to sit back and relax. That's not a good sign. Long story.
You can indeed there are quite a lot of Asian websites where you can find a lot of different, very unknown cases, but there are also more well-known, like enthusiast segment cases. They tend to be rather expensive, so that's something to keep in mind. Then you're looking at the Den A4 SFX, the Low Ghost S1, the N-Case M1. They tend to be quite far over 200 euros, sometimes even approaching 300 euros. Or US
worldwide available?
Can also be difficult.
Oh, you need to find a local reseller.
Yeah, it depends very much on the region. I think, for example, I bought my case from Germany. I couldn't find it here in the Netherlands.
Mm-hmm, okay.
But that will depend very much on where you're located. Robin is asking, are you guys Dutch? Yes, that's why I said I bought it in Germany, because I couldn't find it in the Netherlands.
He's probably talking about my accent.
Could be as well. Yeah, so we've got the mount for the all-in-one liquid cooler on there. Later on we will put on the block and screw it in there. We have the memory installed, so in this situation we're using Corsair Vengeance RGB. It's DDR 43466 megahertz. Zurich is saying, I thought you guys were in Germany, not too far from the border.
Yeah. What is the difference between USB and Thunderbolt? Well, good question.
Thunderbolt is it can be used for more purposes than USB, I would say.
Yeah.
It's also a bit faster. With Thunderbolt 3, you can, for example, go up to 40 gigabits per second. With USB, with USB 3.2 Gen 2 x 2, you can go up to 20 gigabits per second.
Well,
but other than that, you can also do DisplayPort, for example, over your Thunderbolt connection.
In the future, I believe it will all merge to one kind of ecosystem, because Intel is going to release. Actually, they already. I think they released a new Thunderbolt controller. Mm-hmm. And the future is also going to support USB 4.0, and that's going to be 40 gigabits per second. So the same speed as Thunderbolt. So the Thunderbolt part doesn't get an upgrade, same speed, but USB 4 is getting an upgrade, I would say. But no details on when they're going to release it. Probably with the next either mobile or desktop platform they're going to introduce in 2021, maybe even 2020, not sure.
I see a question. Intel boards only or also AMD? This is, for example, our B550 ITX model. Yeah. So also AMD, but today we're going to do the build with our MEG Z490 Unifi and the Intel Core i9 900KF, the 10 core. So this one is all prepared now. CPU, the mount for the CPU cooling for the all-in-one liquid cooler is on there. Memory is on there. And the 2 SSD is in there. So let's continue. Make a little bit of space. And get back to our computer case. Something to keep in mind. You have very little space in Mini-ITX cases and quite a lot of cables. If you're going to install your motherboard, always properly push your cables to the side, because you might block some stuff underneath your motherboard mount otherwise. I've seen people talking about cooler time. Hussein Hani is saying cooler time. Later on we will install the cooler, but first we'll need to do all the motherboard stuff basically, because when we install the cooler we will not be able to access that anymore. So very carefully think about the order that you're building in, and that depends on the case you're building in. Shrey is saying, any reason why you picked Intel? Today we're focusing at a gaming build specifically, and the 10900K is basically the fastest CPU you can get for gaming now. If you're going to do more of a productivity build, then for example an AMD Ryzen 9 would be a very nice option. It's mostly the focus of the system we're building today. But of course, if you prefer AMD, you can easily replace it with a different motherboard. So this is all quite straightforward stuff. Putting the motherboard in there as you would also know it from ATX. Make sure that all the cables are to the side a little bit so you don't get them underneath the motherboard.
Do you want this command, like exclamation mark giveaway for everybody? Because a lot of times we only see giveaway, 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 giveaway.
I don't think that's a good idea. El Generosos is saying that's a thick ITX. It is a quite an extreme Mini-ITX board, yes. Also with a lot of cooling on there. So not only extended heatsink cooling, but also a heat pipe.
It's packed in there.
Yep.
Well, wait for the cooling.
Yeah, it will be extremely stuffed later on. And it will be hard to fit everything in.
So you're also going to do live demos on it, right? Benchmarks?
Yes, that's the plan. Oh, let me move to the side
One
a
extra
little
screw hole?
No. It was the table. And that's always with Mini-ITX, you will struggle, as I said. Because you have limited space to work in.
Let me put your face on the cam, that's much better. Okay, yeah, like this. Maximum pain.
No, still fine so far. And if you want to have an easier build, then for example go with a smaller CPU cooler, because that makes it quite a lot more difficult. But it does, if you're going for a more extreme build, it does provide you with a lot better cooling. Gary P is asking, no ESD strap? No. We have proper ESD protection.
Or a bot on Twitch only spams like, for the giveaway, go to, and that's it.
Nice. Okay, so we have our motherboard in there. Now it's important to connect all the cables. So the power supply, but also the audio cable, the power on button for the front, stuff like that. That's actually quite interesting on this case. Let me show you up front. They are easily combined in one header, so you can put this directly on your motherboard, so you don't have to put the power LED. Is this
compatible with all motherboards?
Sorry?
Is this compatible with all motherboards?
You can actually take it out yourself and order it for your motherboard.
Yeah.
So that's quite convenient.
So if you smell something, you know what to change.
Yeah. Actually, when I unpacked this, when I got it from Cooler Master, it was out of the box, perfect for this motherboard. Okay, so that was good.
Well, which is basically the standard for all MSI motherboards.
Yes. But I'm not sure if Cooler Master already adjusted that because they were sending it to us, or that it's like this by default.
Really nice.
Yeah, it would be nice. The front USB header. So in this situation, there are only Type A ports. So we're not using the Type C connector here. But in many cases nowadays, you will also find Type C connector. So very much depends on the exact case you're getting.
Some people are commenting about using an ESD wristband.
I'm curious, who is building with an ESD protection band?
Well, you're the pro here, so they expect...
I don't do it.
I actually never saw one. Well, in Taiwan, in HU I saw, but not here.
You don't do it either.
Ruud and Peter, do they have one?
I'm not sure.
Maybe somewhere hidden away.
Yeah.
Because we never see them use it.
No. Daniel W is saying cable management. If I would build this to be used as like a 24/7 system, I would definitely do proper cable management. For today, proper cable management takes a lot of time, so I will not be doing that today. because then I will be halfway when the stream is over. Let me see if we have everything connected. We have the front audio, we have the power connectors.
Yeah,
Yes.
ESD band is, you know, in some environments with carpet, what we have here actually, it can give some static electricity, but we never had a problem with it.
I have never broken a motherboard so far because not using an ESD strap. And also
that last part was really important, because not using.
I have broken motherboards.
We know.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But that was mostly by doing stuff with motherboards that they were not intended to do.
And you've broken windows?
Yeah, I've also been smashing windows.
Case windows?
If you want to learn more about ESD protection, by the way, make sure to check out the stream we had from our headquarters in Taiwan, because there we actually have like this ESD testing. It's in the basement of our headquarters, and there you can see how we test our components for electrostatic discharge. So make sure to check that out. Selmonk saying if you smell something, you know what you need to change, the motherboard. Now I would probably change Eric then. Okay, so you got the motherboard in there, it's connected to the power supply. We have the front USB connected, we have our front audio connected, and we have our buttons connected. So basically we're done for now with the motherboard. Then we're going to grab our cooling and put it in there. First, let me
I think next time we need to attach a webcam or put it off the table. I mean, now each time it's moving.
Yeah.
Like now.
Usually we have a top cam, but now because of the corona restrictions, the camera we were using for that is the camera Eric is using right now.
Yeah.
What are you searching for?
Well, when we did the VR stream, we had like a tripod where we put where this one can also fit on.
A tripod where the camera can
Yeah,
fit
for the VR detector thingies. I don't know what
I'm not
they're
sure
called.
where that is, but
Those boxes. Maybe something.
I think for now we have to stick with this. Let me put this here a little bit. Now we're going to install the water block on here. So first let me show you how the radiator will go in here. So let me move this through. This is how the radiator will go into the case. So you will put it underneath here.
What a mess.
And then, let me see. Yeah, it is. Mini-ITX building is a hassle. But it's cool when you're done. And then you fit it in like this, and you screw it in right here. So that's how you fit in a 240mm radiator in a Mini-ITX case. But first, before we actually put it in, we need to put on the CPU block.
Oh, you did that. Oh, wrong one.
Yeah, you got the right one now. Let me see where I can put my radiator. I'm afraid I will block the view a little bit with the radiator, but that's the only way I can properly reach it.
Yeah, we don't have a top cam today.
No. All the cables to the side. Then I'm going to grab my cooling paste. So this one in this situation comes included with the all-in-one liquid cooler. But of course, if you want to use different thermal paste, that's fine as well. And this is something a lot of people always disagree about. How much thermal paste should you use?
So that's why you're hiding it?
No, I can show you up close. Let me put the radiator to the side. This is how much I am using.
That's okay.
I always try to not to use as much that it actually will go all around the CPU when you take it out. So as much.
Why are you looking at me? Hey, I never did that.
No, I wasn't looking at you. Some people do it. Not mentioning names.
Hey, I'm going to do another giveaway.
That's a good idea. So if you haven't participated yet, go to msi.com/2/insider. There
I just do another 2, okay?
Yeah, sure. I think people will be happy with that.
Well, those who win.
I hope they are. Can you pronounce them?
Yeah.
So who are our next winners? Everyone is waiting for you.
Hassim99 and X Franklin. Congratulations, both. You both won a $20 Steam voucher, wallet code. In the coming days, we're going to send it to you by email. And you can still participate. Go to msi.com/2/insider. I hope it works. And otherwise, I hope our spam bot works. At least on YouTube and Twitch, it will work. Should work.
Should work or will work? Those are two different things.
Yeah, I think the coming week I still need to test some more on some other channels.
Let me see if I can restore the close-up view a little bit. So for our water block, we have a mount with 4 screws. Always attach them diagonally from each other. So not first the 2 on the top or the 2 on the bottom, but always the one across. And then you just work them through. And piece by piece, you just tighten them a little bit.
Oh, jet. Yes.
Especially in a case like this, it is important that you properly assemble this directly, because you will not be able to access it once you install the radiator.
Somebody's asking, big giveaway for next stream. Yeah, well, we suggested that, or some people suggested that. The problem is a little bit, we hope that you're talking about VJ card, right? We always want to give something directly, and some of the winners, they had to wait some weeks, even 3 months. One extreme example, because most of the times we talk about new stuff in these live streams, just announced products, and before they hit the markets, or before they hit the warehouses in some countries where the price winner is located, that can differ. And yeah, I don't want to let people wait a month or longer. So that's a little bit the difficulty with we're doing a giveaway on our VJ card. But who knows? I mean, it's a good idea.
Talking about difficulty, the all-in-one liquid cooler that we're using today has RGB lighting, which of course is very nice, but comes with a few cables. So let's already properly align them so we don't have to connect that much when the radiator is in there, because then we cannot reach anything properly anymore. So I'm already going to put the RGB lighting from the water block on the J Rainbow header. There we go.
Banned words. That's something what we needed last week.
Like what?
You remember the chat last week?
Yeah, what was in there?
Not Don't trick me.
Just curious. So for this all-in-one liquid cooler, the MAG Core Liquid 240R, the pump is actually located inside the radiator right here. This also means that the pump connector is also coming from the radiator and not from the water block itself. So this one should go on the pump header of the motherboard. Orion is saying I actually prefer no RGB. Yeah, definitely you can switch it off if you don't like it, or pick components in it without RGB already. Yeah, it's all based on preference. I personally don't have RGB in my own system. Some people love it, some people don't care, or some people even hate it. I don't hate it, but I just yeah. I like a neutral looking system. But it's all personal preference. And everything is fine. I'm going to push the cables to the side a little bit so I can still access this. And this is how you put in the radiator in the bracket. So you have the power supply right here, you have the motherboard right here, and the radiator on top. And this is also the reason why we cannot use the vertical mount for the GPU. I'm actually going to do this a little different because I have the tubes from the water cooling. I'm going to push them upwards a little bit because otherwise they will be in the way for my graphics card later on. So right now here we have the tubes for the liquid cooling. No, just screwing the bracket in. Juan Molero is saying small form factor builds are not about RGB anyways. It depends a little bit. I've seen pretty cool looking small form factor builds with RGB as well.
But if the point of putting a small form factor PC on your desk, then RGB might be annoying.
Yeah, it depends.
Depends how you do it indeed.
Yeah, some people don't mind RGB on their desk. There's also RGB in many peripherals nowadays. So. Bolt Crank is saying be careful with the water cooling tubes bending too much. Yes, definitely be careful with that, especially if you're going in a very small case. Also, the type of tubes is quite important. These are quite well protected also with fabric around it, but otherwise if you have sharp edges you might cut into the tube. But make sure that you have the space for the tubing. That's also why, for example, my tubes go to this side of the radiator, so they go around here. If I would put them on that side, it would be directly on top of the CPU block, on the water block, so that wouldn't work. Nate is asking, why are you guys building this small form factor build? Because we can. No specific reason, because it's fun to do.
But it's not fun.
Yeah, it's quite fun. It's fun when it's done. But you will see how much power you can get in a very small form factor. I think that's a very cool thing. So, just going to connect the, let me see, the fans on the radiator, and that one will go to the CPU fan header on the motherboard. Then we have our connector for our pump. That one will go on the dedicated pump header on the motherboard. And this is always a bit tricky with all the cables. I promise you, usually I do better cable management, but it will take too much time for now. Then for the RGB, this motherboard has got two J-Rainbow RGB headers, but with this all-in-one liquid cooler, you can actually interconnect the different RGB components. So the block has RGB and the two fans on the radiator have RGB. All of them have a connector, but you can all link them through so that you can daisy chain them basically. And because of that, you only need one JRGB header on your motherboard to be able to use all the RGB on your all-in-one liquid cooler. So right now I will only be using one J-Rainbow header, the one here on top of the motherboard because it's easily accessible for me. Can you show it up close maybe? Right here you see the headers on the motherboard, and right, let me see, there we have the J-Rainbow header. There's another one lower on the motherboard, but that one is quite hard to reach in this specific build. This differs per build, of course, and that's also why there is no such thing as a perfect layout for a Mini-ITX motherboard, because there are so many different cases. Every layout will serve a different purpose, basically. Let me find the RGB header of the CPU block, and that's where I will interconnect the RGB of the radiator fans.
This bot gives me headaches.
Yeah, it doesn't work still?
Nah. It's blocking its own spam. I'm trying to spam the link, but the link is not posted because it's blocked by the bot itself.
Nice. Okay. That's all connected. Then we have one more fan header on top, and that one we're going to use for our top fans. This is the top panel of the case. There are two headers.
The fans were included in the case?
Yeah, they're included in the case. I did, however, use a separate adapter to be able to use two fans on one header. So that's the one I'm going to attach to the case fan header on top. So this way I can use a total of four 120mm fans, two on the radiator and two on the top as an outtake. So first connect it to the motherboard while I still can.
Some experts in the chat.
There we go. And then see if there are no cables stuck, because we have quite a lot of cables. It's okay on this side and okay on that side as well. And then you just click it in. Now, before I put the side panels, or before I put the graphics card in, I just put it on the side. I purposely waited to the last moment for the graphics card, because once you put that in, it's harder to reach most things. So this is the graphics card we're using today. It's a GeForce RTX 2080 Ti Ventus. I know everyone wanted to see the RTX 30 series graphics cards, but then we cannot show any performance of the system. So unfortunately for you guys today, only an RTX 2080 Ti. But I think it should be quite okay in terms of performance still. Will there be any MSI RAM in the future? Maybe.
Nah.
Never say never.
That's correct. In the past, I always, when I did a training to MSI employees, I always said, you know, we're not going to do coolers. We're not going to do power supplies. But then 5-7 years later, we have power supplies.
Yeah, never say never. Might be.
Yeah. I think especially memory and SSDs is very risky business, because prices are fluctuating a lot.
Yeah, that's what you also see with, at this point, SSDs and RAM are super cheap.
Yes.
So if you want to upgrade, then this is probably a good time to do so.
Yeah, that's true. But if you're a vendor or if you're a shop and you have stock,
then
based
you're
on
not
old
happy.
price,
Yeah,
you're
then
not
you're not happy. Yeah, it's. I see a question: are the MSI fans the ones on the radiator? Yes, they are. The other ones are Cooler Master fans and came with the case. Would the 3080 2-fan fit in there? Do we have a 2-fan 3080?
No.
I think it's only 3070, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The Ventus one, but
Yes.
I do believe that one will fit. Yes. In terms of length, let me show you up close how long the case is and the length of the graphics card. So this is a 2080 Ti 2-fan. Still have some spare space here, but let me quickly grab a graphics card that I see right there. This is, let me see, an RTX 2080 Gaming X Trio. So this is a triple fan card. It's quite a bit longer. And this...
No.
You say no, but I'm not 100% sure.
Squeeze it in.
I want to try this out. Just to see if it would fit in terms of length. And I'm afraid it's just a little bit too long. You might be able to fit it, but it will take a lot of patience. But I think it will be. Yeah, perhaps. But then definitely don't put in the bracket yet. If you take it out, I'm not going to guarantee that it fits, but it's extremely close. And this is very much dependent on the case. There are Mini-ITX cases that can only fit an ITX sized graphics card. So they're only 17 centimeters. It's like how long also the Mini-ITX motherboard is.
I see people commenting on the price of RTX 30. Don't look at that. Most of them are not final, and especially in the beginning you see a lot higher prices in the channel because there is not a lot of volume, not a lot of stock, not a lot of supply. So this will all change.
Yeah, it's always in the beginning it's a little bit tricky to get a proper view of the prices.
Yes. Somebody wants to be your slave if you give him this PC. Well, let's first make it working.
Yep. So this is quite a nice fit. So in this situation, the Cooler Master NR200P is perfectly fine for the RTX 2080 Ti Ventus edition.
Somebody has this case, the NR200P, and he is looking at the 3080 Trio. So he wants you to put it in, make it fit.
I don't have it here, unfortunately, right now.
3080.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, I cannot test it for you right now. I'm not sure how the size is compared to the 2080 gaming trio? Do you know? Maybe
Next week. Next week we will see. Next week,
yeah, we'll have a
Thursday, we have a dedicated live stream about 3080.
If it's larger, it will for sure not fit. No, only the power connectors for the graphics card left. So this one comes with two 8-pin power connectors.
Lars is asking, if you have an M.2 SSD with a pre-mounted cooler, is it best to use the motherboard M.2 cooler or the pre-mounted cooler on the SSD? This depends a little bit on what kind of M.2 cooler you have in your motherboard. Normally, if they're connected to the heat sinks, the chipset heat sinks, they have better cooling. But there are also some small, flimsy ones. And then it really depends, because I think like EK and Western Digital, they have the EK water block on there. Or water block, not water block, cooling block. It really depends. So you can do your own benchmarking, of course, test it out. But if you go for example, for higher-end mainboard models like Godlike or something, the M.2 cooling in the motherboard for sure is better. We even have some benchmarks. I showed it, or we showed it some. It's already 2 months ago, I guess. Maybe even longer.
Let me quickly check if we don't have any cables in the fence, because I didn't do proper cable management. Just building quick and dirty today. Just quickly checking with the light. Looks okay. If you hear something rattling, it was not okay. Should be fine. Now, before I put the side panels back on, just quickly going to test it out. Let's attach the top panel again. Ghost Fam saying very nice, clean looking case for building. Yeah, I would say for an ITX, this is relatively user friendly. If you're going really, really small, like underneath 10 liters small, then you won't be
happy
finished as fast as I am now. So the smaller you get, the more tricky it becomes. Let me connect it before putting side panels on so we can have a quick test.
Okay guys, that was it for today. You know,
if the stream drops, then I didn't connect it properly.
It will look like this. Hey, that's strange. Michiel.
What's strange?
Oh, I know why. Your head was
this is the capture card for the what I still need to connect.
No. But your head was disappearing behind the red bar.
Oh,
but it's the
it's my camera has a certain
it's your camera. I was like, huh? We have also another one, right? This one.
Let's hope we don't need that one.
Well, if we can use it, we're still online.
Yeah. Let's see if it will explode when I try to switch it on. Did I connect everything? I think so.
Fan start running. You have the capture card connected?
I don't see any RGB lights. So I might have hit something. Oh, there it is. Still needed to start, I think.
Capture still not working? Oh, yeah.
Might take a second. I might have hit the header off. Ah, no, it shows RGB now. I think it's just an effect then. Let me take a look.
So I saw somebody earlier asking why the RGB on the mouse wasn't working. Well, it wasn't connected. Now it's connected.
Yeah, so even RGB is working. And the system is booting, so that's good. So we can put on the side panels.
Yeah.
What do you guys want? Do you want to use mesh on both sides, or do you want to choke the radiator by using a glass side panel?
A or B?
Airflow or choke?
Choke it.
Oh, different opinions. Both mesh, choke.
it's more like Twitch wants to choke it, and YouTube wants airflow.
Okay. Let's put it on and then we will switch to mesh later on, but just to show you what it looks like.
And temps we can also check.
So this is the tempered glass side panel that comes with the case.
I love the reactions. Choke it, choke it.
Choke it. So we're using a 10900K, so it's not the easiest CPU to run in a Mini-ITX. Let me see, I should properly put this in.
Maybe I do detailed cam.
There we go. So this is tempered glass side panel. I'm not sure if you can maybe see a little bit better like this. The strange effects you see is the green, by the way.
Yeah, green screen.
Maybe I can do a different effect. Just switching the effect a little bit. What do we have now? Okay, now we have a red blinking effect. So we don't have any RGB issues. Let's take a look at the temperatures. I have core temp right here. So right now, no
this
problem
is
at all.
really small, so I'm going to take this and let me.
What are you doing?
No, moment.
Tommy is saying he put the glass panel on the wrong side. Glass panel on the back side instead of the front side. No, this is actually the front side, looking from the motherboard. I think you can actually interchange the panels. So you could put it on the rear side, but then you will be looking at the back of the motherboard. Now you're looking at the radiator because it's in front of the radiator. He choked the wrong side? No, I'm actually choking the radiator now because the radiator, the fans are the intake right now. And the glass panel is in front of the radiator.
Maybe you point out what you're doing.
Yeah, so if you look at the front, the motherboard is on this side, then the radiator is on this side. So the motherboard, the front of the motherboard is pointing that way. So the radiator is right here, and those fans are intakes. So they take the air, well, they try to take it from the tempered glass side window now, but usually when you would have mesh, it will get fresh air out from that side panel. Yeah, people are commenting that the temperatures are great at the moment. Yes, but right now we're not stressing it at all. And I think it should still be quite okay because it can get some air here and there, but you will get better airflow with the mesh.
Prime. Yeah,
prime, and let's put firmark on as well. So we put 100% load on the CPU and the GPU. Because sometimes people also wonder, is a 600 watt power supply enough for a 10900KF and a 2080 Ti? Yes, it is.
What about my temps?
Oh, you still have your magnifier on.
yeah, but I mean...
yeah, let me take that.
Oh, you already have it? Yeah,
there
just like this.
We still have prime running.
Yeah, and you see afterburner.
So it's still quite okay actually. So if a lot of people were worried about temperatures of this hardware in a small case, this is even with tempered glass. A little bit SDK is asking, will 600 watt be enough for your 3080 then? Of course, depends on what CPU you combine with it.
And if you want to overclock.
And if you want to overclock. And also what 600 watt power supply you're using. Because
can you move a little bit to the right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm behind the magnifying. Because if you use a very high quality 600 watt power supply, it will be stronger than a more entry level 600 watt power supply. So it depends very much also how much power they can deliver on the 12 volt rails. If you want to learn more about power supplies in, I think, a couple of weeks time.
Month.
Yeah. Then we will talk about our new power supply series.
I can check. But
And
you know,
maybe we can do some tests in practice as well. I'm not sure if
and open it up.
Yeah, but I think we have a more powerful model though.
Let me check. Where is my schedule? The problem is, it's still. I mean, it's not confirmed yet. We probably move it around. It's now planned for beginning of November. That's not a couple of weeks.
Okay, 2 months then.
Yeah.
See, question: can I build ITX in cheap with MSI? Yes, we have some more affordable ITX models. Let me quickly grab 2 examples. For example, can we show the close-up?
Yeah.
This is, for example, the H110i Pro Wi-Fi motherboard. This is a more affordable option on the Intel side, and for AMD, you, for example, have our B450i Gaming Plus Max Wi-Fi. So there are your more affordable options, and still you can put a very powerful CPU on this because they have a very strong VRM design. But you, for example, you will not have Wi-Fi 6 connectivity. You will not have 2.5 gigabit LAN, stuff like that. So it really depends on what you want.
So temperatures are really good.
Yeah, I would say it's still perfectly fine. Even though this is not the best way to position a radiator with a tempered glass side panel.
Oh, one moment. I will also put in this thingy here, so people know the specs.
This is cooler than I expected, but I think it's because the air conditioning is slightly on here.
Yeah. I can switch it off.
So you're cheating.
Yeah, this is.
Yeah, let's heat it up a little bit here. Because I've also been testing a little bit with this in our department. My temperatures were slightly higher, but I didn't have the air conditioning on, only ventilation.
I switched it off. Now there's no background noise, only me. Do you have OCT installed?
No. I can show some Cinebench later on as well.
Yeah.
This is just default BIOS settings, by the way. So I didn't fiddle around with power limits. It's just default.
So this is basically Z490, most high-end CPU.
Yes.
How many cores?
10.
So that's a 10900K.
Yeah. And of course you can get the power consumption of the CPU higher. If you're going to use AVX workloads like that, then you can crank it up quite a bit. Now you see that the power consumption of the CPU is a little bit over 130 watts. And that's still perfectly fine.
Yeah. What is the total power consumption? I think we cannot read that, right? For the complete system?
No, then I would need to have one in the power socket.
Yeah.
I don't have it right here now.
Yeah. Because what is the power supply you're using?
It's, Corsair SF600,
600 watts.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the old version, so the 80 plus gold version.
Yeah.
So you see that the temperature is still increasing a little bit because of course the case is heating up. Partly has to do with the tempered glass side panel.
We stop at 100 degrees, okay?
I don't think it will reach 100 degrees. And right now both the CPU and the GPU, the RTX 2080 Ti, are both running at 100% load.
Can you maybe open Task Manager?
Sure.
Then people can also see that. Is that how you open it?
Yeah.
Yeah, performance. Yeah, so GPU 97%,
Yeah. Oh.
CPU 100%.
And this is like a torture situation. When you're gaming, you will not have a situation like this. You will never, well, I shouldn't say never, but it's not very likely that you will have 100% load on both your CPU and your GPU. See, question, are you going to be releasing SFX power supplies? Maybe. We're starting up with ATX, it's the most common ones, but maybe in the future.
Will MSI Live Update support later motherboards? Yeah, it supports all motherboards, so the new ones, but also the older ones. So if there's an update, MSI Live Update will find it. Liam is teaching us something. Control Shift Escape for task managers.
People are asking what's the GPU temperature. Let me move this up a little bit. It's currently at 68 degrees Celsius. You can see it in the bottom here. I don't know if you...
No,
it's
here
maybe
on
hard
top.
to read.
On top?
Let me see. I think I have GPU.
Afterburner shows it, right?
Yeah, I also have GPU. Oh, I have Afterburner on as well. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, the green, where it says GPU, in the middle of the screen on the top, it says 68. Oh.
And here you see
Oh.
the it's an RTX 2080 Ti.
Yeah.
And here you can also see the temperature and also the fan speed. It's currently at 48%.
Why is the flickering? $260 watts.
Burbana is asking, I think the capture card is struggling a little bit.
Okay, that can be.
It's flickering, not on my screen, but on the stream it is.
Okay.
I saw Burbana saying, why not a 3080? Because we cannot show it in
Not
action
yet.
right now.
Yeah.
NDA, unfortunately. But if you're interested in the 3080, make sure to tune in next week. I think
So
the capture card is really struggling, right?
Yeah. you picked another capture card for today, right? Because
Yeah,
we couldn't get the sound to work.
Yeah.
And then you said, I need audio.
Yeah.
And then you took a cheap AliExpress capture card.
Capture card, yeah. It's it has its limitations, as it seems.
Yeah.
But hopefully we will have audio.
Yeah, so let's run the game.
Capture card overheat? Yes, could be.
I'm going to feel...
Yeah, you switched off the air conditioning. Okay, Eric is now going to check how hot it gets.
No.
No, it's not
problem?
hot?
Yeah, it's hot, but I mean, no issue at all.
I wouldn't say that it's like overheating. But clearly something is struggling.
Yeah. I can turn my screen a little bit.
So on the detailed cam.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
You can know, but you can see it's only it's not flickering right here. So don't worry, they're not GPU artifacts. It's all fine. Yeah, so now you can hear it ramping up a little bit. System is heating up quite a bit.
It started when
Yeah,
you
now
opened...
we're reaching 100 degrees. Now it's getting warmer.
Okay.
Shall I switch to the tempered glass side panel to see what it does?
Yeah.
Okay, the capture card is really getting crazy.
Card, it's a USB key. Okay, so you're going to switch to the
Yeah.
side panel?
So now we're on the CPU, we're reaching 100 degrees. The GPU is currently at 68 still.
So you're not going to switch it off, right?
No?
So what I'm going to try to do is put this one here. Hey, look at that. Maybe here.
Maybe we can already see some results because now the tempered glass side panel is off.
It's really struggling. Can you switch off GPU-Z? Because I just close it. GPU-Z. Can you close GPU-Z? Because it started because when you opened that one.
Let me give
Should not be related, of course.
GPU-Z, close it.
Yeah,
or-
yeah. Just
Okay.
close. Nope,
Didn't work.
didn't work. Well, let
We
me...
can try to switch to the other capture card, but then we don't have sound.
So detailed cam, still no issues.
No, still fine.
Yeah.
Okay, let's switch. We let it cool down a little bit and then I will put Prime 95 back on.
It already dropped to 55.
No, but I put Prime off, so
Oh.
that's not a fair comparison. Just to let it cool off and let's see how far it gets with the mesh side panel. I think I still have it open, yeah. So right now this is off. Let me switch it completely off. So the mesh side panel back on.
So now the flickering is gone, so it has to do with... It's strange, right? Because it... Oh, maybe it has to do with the more pixels it need to send or something to our capture card.
Could be, I don't know. You can
Well.
try to adjust the frame rate maybe.
NDI for the win.
Not always. Let's get back to.
No. Some people are saying, "Whoa, it dropped from 100 to 60."
Yeah, but
No.
I switched prime off, so it's not under 100% load right now, just to make it cool a little bit, and then we can see how far we get with the mesh side panel, so you can see the difference. Sketch Therapy is saying, I didn't even know MSI made cases and radiator. We do make cases, but we don't have any Mini-ITX models at this point. This is a Cooler Master model. We do make all-in-one liquid coolers. Okay, so right now we're under 50 degrees again. Let's switch prime back on. Furmark is still running in the background. Let's get back to core temp.
Crash?
No. Some hiccup though.
It
No
seems
crash so far.
crashed. Where do I this one?
No, it's
hey, strange.
we're back to live.
Oh, that was
Maybe
strange.
too much open simultaneously. Does it work, the capture as well?
Yeah.
No flickering? Or still flickering?
But for this capture card, do you need to install a driver client side?
No, it's plug and play.
Plug and play.
Yeah, probably.
What was the price of this one?
Trace of the capture card.
Yeah.
It's like I think under 10 euros. It's
Okay.
extremely cheap.
Yeah. We saw that.
You know why now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now we have the mesh side panel on, so not the tempered glass. I have the tempered glass right here. So this was the one we had on now. Now we have some ventilation. Little bit SDK is saying 110 is not cheap if it doesn't work. Not 110, 10. It's a cheap capture card.
10?
10.
I also understood 110.
No, 10.
10.
10.
Chinese branded.
Yeah.
We're located in Holland, the Netherlands. They want names of the capture card. They're going to order it.
Shiro is saying 90 viewers on Twitch, I think. That we're also on YouTube. We used to be on Mixer, rest in peace.
Twitter, Facebook.
Yeah, Periscope, Facebook, many different channels simultaneously. Zelmonk asking, did you turn back on the air conditioning?
Nope.
No. It's getting quite warm in here. So if you see me sweating, you know why. Oh, Tommy's asking about the capture card that came with the Z490 Godlike. That one should work.
Yeah.
What is the problem exactly? Like it doesn't recognize it, or because then you might need to RMA it? It should be fine.
How many giveaways today? I think they want another giveaway. Should I do another giveaway? You?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Single one or double one?
Single one, and then
at
after
the
this
end,
another
another
one. Okay for you?
Yeah, sure. So if you haven't participated yet, last chance to sign up, go to msi.com/2/insider. Will the bot also put it in chat on YouTube and Twitch?
No.
No? Bot not properly working?
Bot needs my attention this weekend or something. It's
The bot will get fired?
No. I see potential, but bot owner needs to learn how to tell bot things.
Okay, so now we're basically maxing out at a little under 70 degrees on the CPU. Under full load.
Price winners on your screen?
Let me see. Shadar, congratulations. You also won a $20 Steam wallet code. Keep an eye on your mailbox so we can email it to you in the coming days.
Okay, I see some people complaining about I don't see the giveaway. I'm going to post in both Twitch and YouTube. I'm going to post the link.
CPU temp is definitely more stable. Yes. Now the radiator has proper access to fresh air. That definitely makes a difference. Okay, I'm going to switch off Furmark and Prime 95, so we will take off the load of both the CPU and the GPU, and then we can run some Cinebench.
Okay, so that's Twitter. Twitter.
I will leave core
Twitch.
temp open so you can
And
still
that's
see the temperatures. I will run Cinebench R20 so it properly ramps up a little bit. Cinebench R15 is a little bit too short to get a good view. Hello core temp, where are you? Oh, hey. Ah, there you are. Burbana is asking, let me see. Do you guys have any plans for wide products such as GPU, motherboards, cases, etc.?
No.
Not at this point.
Yeah.
And also wide products can be a little bit tricky, especially on GPUs and motherboards, because your signal quality on white PCBs is not as good as it is on black PCBs. Of course, white coolers and stuff would not really be a problem. But in terms of PCBs, usually black PCBs give you the clearest signals, which are important for graphics cards and motherboards. Especially now with PCI Express Gen 4, it became even more important, but also overclocking capabilities. It performs better on black PCB. Okay, now we're back in idle. So can we get the full capture again?
Full capture.
Yeah, so we're...
Shall I remove this?
Yeah, you can remove that. So we're currently at only 3% CPU load and only 2 to 3% GPU load. So completely idle now. Temperatures are getting around 40 again. So
yeah, nobody can see that, so I'm going to do like this. And then remove this.
Does it have an option to make it a bit bigger?
No, no need.
Okay, let's do a run of Cinebench. I will pull this back up. Mr. Masterdox is saying, gets hot too easily, part of why I don't like small form factor, hard to dissipate the heat and fan noise because of it. Try gaming on this system on a hot summer's day. The hot temperatures were really with the tempered glass side panel because the radiator was positioned, the intake was directly next to a tempered glass side panel. Now with the mesh side panel, it's perfectly fine. You can game with this on a hot summer day with 10900 KF and 2080 Ti with no issues. This is well within safe margins. And we were even torture testing it with 100% load through Prime 95 and 100%
Yeah, so this is not
load.
A realistic load. If you're
It's not
going
a
to play a
realistic
game, the load is much lower.
But even with the torture test, it is still a safe margins. But if you're going for a very high-end system, then I would always recommend using the mesh side panel. Especially if you're going to position a radiator here that you're going to use as intake. Yeah, so that was quite fast. A little over 6,000 points in Cinebench. Jamet saying my 3900X is faster. Yes, it has 2 cores more. So in Cinebench, I expect it to be a little bit faster indeed. But this one was mostly built for gaming purpose. So we wanted to build a gaming PC and less than 20 liters and make it as fast as possible. That's why we went with the RTX 2080 Ti with a 10900 KF. Let me see. A question from Tommy, my question was regarding the update for Z490 Godlike about specific RAM. Currently rocking HyperX kit, 3000 MHz, 32 GB. I would like to update it to 3600 with 32 and above, preferably for 1000 MHz, also a 32 kit. But the homepage didn't show me kits, therefore single RAM only. Any suggestions eventually? Can be quite tricky, especially some memory kits are more tricky than others. Also, if you're going for very high frequencies, I would always suggest to stick with 2DIMM. There usually you should be okay. If you're going for 4DIMM, it will put more strain on your memory controller, and that might be more difficult with extremely high memory frequencies.
I see why you're answering that question, Mr. Berghout.
I will also answer the ones without.
I know.
Avoiding Dragon Center issue, can you report problem, please? I don't know which issue you're talking about, but definitely make sure to report it so we can look into it.
B450i Max.
B450, I see. Can you show the release date of the new B450? It should be available quite soon. Depends a little bit on the region, but shouldn't take too long. This is the B450 Max.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, question.
So it's actually already released, but you know.
I'm not 100% sure.
No?
I think it will be released really soon. At least in the stores really soon. But you will be able to find it on our website already, and should be available soon
if
as
it's
well.
on our product page, then.
So this is the old B450i
shipping.
model, and this is the Max model. So this one has a little bit more neutral colors, as you can see. The red was replaced by silver, and this one comes with a 32 megabyte BIOS, so it will support 3rd gen Ryzen out of the box.
Out of the box.
With the full feature BIOS. Burbana's asking, when does the review embargo lift on the 3080? I heard it's the 14th. Is that true?
We don't know.
No, it's the
Let's say
17th.
Also that not. We only know that.
Yeah, then we can show performance at least.
No, we only know that on the 17th the on-shelf date is, and if everybody can buy it, we can show performance.
Yes. Should be okay.
Yeah.
Would be strange if people can buy it, but we cannot show performance.
It happened.
So next week we will show you a 3080 performance in the live stream.
But on the Thursday, not on the Wednesday.
The Thursday, because
one day
on the
later.
Wednesday we're not allowed yet. On the Thursday we are. That's why our live stream is a day later than usual. Shrey is saying, thanks for the informative stream. Sadly I have to go now. Thank you for watching. If you want to see the end of it as well, I will be running some Metro Exodus with ray tracing.
Yeah, maybe do that.
Now, yeah, indeed. But then you can view it back on YouTube, so it will be available on demand as well. Little bit SDK saying, prefer neutral colors. Red is way too intrusive if trying to build a theme. That's the feedback we got from many people, that they wanted to have a more neutral outlook. That's why we changed it on the Max model. And also...
Maybe he's talking about the RGB colors. Maybe change them.
No, I think it was about the motherboard.
You can still change them.
What color do you want?
Blue? Bluish?
Yeah, you're in a blue mood.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you want a certain effect?
I should remove this one.
We can do breathing.
Yeah,
we
why
can
not?
set it to blue. There we go.
Yeah.
Right now I have everything linked together, so as you can see, my keyboard is breathing blue as well now. I think the monitor is breathing blue. My mouse is breathing blue. That's because of Mystic Light Sync. So in the Dragon Center software, on top here, if you sync this, then everything will do the effect that you select here. So right now it's also the memory inside the case. You cannot see it right now because it's hidden behind the radiator, but there you can sync up all your RGB lighting. Okay, let's play some games, I think. Or some games, a game. So I got Metro Exodus installed for the simple reason that it's a very demanding game, and we can put on ray tracing and see how it performs in real life gaming situations, basically. New phone.
Will it be a 2-slot 3080 planned? Not at this moment.
My previous launch was unsuccessful, apparently. Would you like to launch in safe mode? No.
Nothing currently planned that we have like, okay, we're going to launch soon. But of course, we're looking into it. But with the both 3080, 3090, it's very difficult to do a 2-slot cooler. So 2.7, 2.9 is more common on the market. So this is Metro, right?
Metro Exodus.
Ray tracing.
Yeah, I will check in the settings if it's on already. In top I put Afterburner, so you can see both my GPU and my CPU temperature. You will also be able to see the frame rate. I'm going to max everything out. I'm using a full HD screen, also has to do with the capture card is also limited to 1080p, so I wouldn't be able to show you anything higher through stream either. But we're going to max everything out, and it should be a very demanding game. Even 1080p with full ray tracing is demanding. So 1080p, ultra quality, VSync off, we have G-Sync. Motion blur, I hate motion blur, so I set it to low.
We hate motion blur.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Especially if you play competitive, right? Because then if the screen gets blurred, then you're like, okay, where am I?
I'm actually a little bit sad that there is no off function, so I just set it to low then. DirectX 12, RTX, ray tracing on ultra. I already see Torika saying RTX without DLSS for fun. Yes, we're going to do without DLSS, so we can really torture the card. Further on advanced physics, on tessellation, on texture filtering to the maximum. So really maxed out.
Except for the blurring.
See question 1080p 144. This screen is actually 240 hertz even. But through the stream, I think you can see a maximum of 60. But you can see my FPS through Afterburner in the top right.
147 currently in the menu.
Yeah.
Always like that.
So I'm not going to do the whole introduction. So I should have
load.
Where do you
at the
see?
bottom.
Ah, there.
Yeah.
That one was well hidden. So completely maxed out with ray tracing on ultra and no DLSS. That's the settings we're currently using. I have no experience with this game, so if you know how to play it, please give me advice in the chat. Backseat gaming allowed today. So this is fully maxed out. Still very decent FPS with full ray tracing.
You have a VSync.
VSync is off. It's a G-Sync monitor, by the way. I'm using the Oculus NXG 251.
Yeah, but I see tearing on the capture card.
That's the capture card, yes.
So it's like 83 FPS, 85.
Yeah. With ray tracing at maximum. I can switch it off a little bit later on, so you
Somebody
can
saying
see.
artifacts? I don't see them.
I think it's a tearing from the capture card you're seeing. I can see that as well.
So
is the audio working, by the way, of the?
Oh, that's a good one.
I don't see any.
Lol.
I don't see any, and that's
so you spent this morning some time to replacing our capture card by the cheap one. Saying,
oh, it's selected on the monitor.
Look, Eric, I have audio.
I should have audio.
Yeah, now we have.
Okay, fixed.
Did you test the audio level? Yeah, it seems it's.
It should be quite okay.
Yeah.
If you cannot hear us anymore, then please drop it in chat so we adjust the volume.
Please come back next week.
Lesson of the day: don't buy AliExpress capture card. Definitely.
Well, no comments.
Amrox is asking, are you using AMD or Intel CPU? Right now we're using the Intel Core i9 10900K.
Shows in the bottom of the screen. The case, the VGA, the GPU.
Yeah, there you can see all the specifications.
Your body. So GPU temp, 69 degrees, CPU temp below 50.
Tommy is asking, I actually got another question in mind. Which panel is the monitor using? IPS. VA or TA, I think you mean TN there. This is a TN monitor, but we also nowadays have an IPS 240 Hz monitor, so make sure to check it out if you prefer IPS. People say still no sound. There should be sound now. Did you open it up?
I can boost it a little bit, like this, or maybe like this.
It seems like we should be having sound now.
Yeah? Can you? Crank it up. Ooh. No game sound, they say. I see something moving.
Can you
see
open
this?
your sound mixer?
Oh my god.
No,
Which
no,
one?
no, in the stream.
OBS.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's correct.
Should be okay.
Monitor and output. It's moving here. Yeah.
Yeah?
People here.
Nice. Oh. I don't have any ammo. Wanted to test the sound. Oh. Some other people are saying nope, nothing. Okay.
That's strange.
That's indeed strange.
I have headset here. Oh, how does it work? Yeah, I hear audio.
You can hear audio.
Yeah. It's not a lot. I mean, it's a train running in the background.
Tommy is saying no sound because you guys don't have a headset on.
Some lady speaking English with a Russian accent. Can I boost this?
It should already be very loud right now.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's something for next time, the audio.
Yeah. We will get rid of the AliExpress capture card.
We need to go NDI only, Michiel.
NDI still has some issues
I think
with running fluent.
It's better than this.
Cosmic is saying that place looks freezing cold. Yeah, indeed it does. For this purpose, it does really matter in-game audio, I think. It's more about the temperatures and the frame rates, and now you can hear how much noise or how silent the system is. I think for the hardware that's in there, it's relatively silent, I would say. Also for considering the size. Temperature still perfectly fine with everything maxed out and ray tracing fully on. FGX Raven is asking, does the game run at 1080p or 1440p? This is 1080p. We're using a 240 Hz monitor right now.
8K. Well, we were thinking about how to do an 8K demo. Yeah, that's first of all we need to find an 8K panel, and then, well, if we capture that, it will only appear on 1080p. So that's pity. Typical Russian summer.
I actually forgot to show something.
Oh.
Because I've shown the power supplies on the image, but I also have them in real life. So while we have this cutscene anyway. If you want to know the difference between ATX, there's a relatively large ATX, but it's an ATX power supply, and SFX, regular one. So you can see that's quite a lot of difference. So that's why it's in the smaller cases you get, usually you see SFX. But this is a relatively long, you have smaller ATX. This one is quite long, but this is just one I had laying around. But still, it will have almost the same dimensions. It will just be a little bit shorter then. So that's the difference between SFX and ATX power supplies. FGX Raven is saying, Mike, I missed the amazing smash glass
think you're
action.
killed.
Sorry?
Oh no.
Did I get killed? Oh, I wasn't paying attention. I think I just died. Did I?
Or it's part of the story.
Oh, not sure. Oh, there's glass smashing was his favorite stream. For the people who don't know what we're talking about, it's the we did a case live stream a couple of weeks ago. If you look on our YouTube channel, you should be able to find it. I think it's called The Perfect Case for Your Precious Hardware. There we also smashed some tempered glass side panels, regular ones and laminated ones.
You tried to.
Well, eventually I succeeded.
Yes.
It took some effort, but very dangerous live stream. Don't try it at home, but it was fun to do. Oh, he's not looking happy. Is there still a giveaway? Yes, go to msi.com/2/insider.
Ah, too late, too late.
No, if you sign up now, you're still in the drawing.
No, because now I'm going to do the lucky draw.
Oh no, wait a few minutes so you can still participate. I can show the one without ray tracing to see what kind of frame rates we're getting. Switch it off. Can I do that in the middle of the game?
Yeah.
Nice. So yeah, you see the frame rates are already quite a lot higher.
Yeah. Okay, I'll wait.
K-Max Oreo, make sure to sign up now. Last chance.
So it's 18 plus rated content? All the dead bodies?
Yeah, maybe we should put it to that. Oh, I have a med kit, okay. See, come on, not sure why I haven't played this game yet. I actually didn't either. This is my, well, I've been playing today, maybe like 10 minutes. That's it.
164 FPS.
Yeah, so FPS.
With decent temps.
Yeah.
70 degree on the GPU, 55 on the CPU.
So nowadays you can build an extremely strong gaming PC in a very small form factor. Dreadlock36 say go play some Fortnite. Fortnite is not really a challenge for a 10900KF and an RTX 2080 Ti. So that's why we went with Metro Exodus today. It's a way more demanding title. Edwin's asking why are there not endless Mystic Light profiles? What profile would you like to see, for example?
Yeah, it's just like IQ from Corsair. Let's check that.
I'm curious what kind of effects you would like. Then we can definitely feedback and see what we can
Ray
do.
tracing is really taxing. Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is. Definitely. But according to the NVIDIA announcement, the 30 series should be pretty good at ray tracing. How to enter the giveaway? Go to msi.com/2/insider, but be very quick because in a minute.
It's too late.
Too late?
It's too late. It's too late.
But next week we will have another giveaway, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I'm going to try to fix some hardware. Not sure if I succeed. That would be cool, right?
So our last winner for today is, let me see, Austin M. Congratulations, you also won a $20 Steam wallet code. We will email it to you and to the other winners in the coming days, so keep an eye out on your mailbox. If you didn't win today, too bad luck. But next week, new chance on Thursday instead of Wednesday.
Yes. So maybe you show next week?
Yeah, let me switch the game off. Yeah, it's already open, so if you pull up the slide, next week we're going to talk about the RTX 3080. We're going to show it with benchmarks. It will be on Thursday because that will be when the cards will be available.
Benchmarks, questions, answers, hopefully.
Can you pull open the chat again, by the way?
Sorry?
Can you pull the chat back up?
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah.
The week after, also on a Thursday, also has to do with the NVIDIA dates, of course. The
time on Thursday, sorry, Michiel. The time on Thursday, each week we start on 4 o'clock CEST, which is 7 o'clock PDT, right? West Coast USA.
Yes.
And like
7 a.m.
Yeah, and yeah.
So morning in the
evening.
Americas. Afternoon
Early morning.
early. Depends on where you are, but
yeah.
Basically afternoon in Europe, Africa, and in the evening in Asia and Oceania as well. Then the 24th of September, so 1 week after the 3080, we have the 3090. Will also be on a Thursday. And then 6 days after only, because we'll be back on a Wednesday with the new MEG Aegis Ti5 gaming desktop featuring these new RTX 30 series graphics cards. So make sure to check that out. Anything else you want to add for today, Eric?
I see some questions. Does MSI have a physical store? Yes, in Asia we have on several places. We went to one, right? In Taiwan? Taipei?
Yeah. In some countries you can find MSI stores, but not everywhere.
Probably on our social channels you will also see some announcements of these live streams. 3070 for the future, somewhere October, don't know yet.
Yeah, we'll be there.
Yeah.
Of course, we will also do a dedicated live stream about the 3070 once NVIDIA launches it.
Yes. So next week, 3080.
Make sure to tune in, and very important, on Thursday, okay? So not Wednesday, Thursday.
Well,
same time, same place,
on Wednesday,
but Thursday. Yeah, that was it for today. Thanks everyone for joining. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a little bit about Mini-ITX. That was it from our side for today.
People also talking about the announcement from AMD for the Zen 3 and for the new GPUs. Yes, of course, we will have live streams about that as well.
Yep.
When the time is right.
Thanks everyone for joining, and we hope to see you again next week on Thursday.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.